As of now, we are talking about Linux commands for beginners. So far, after setting up the environment, we have seen how to get started with Linux shell commands. Then we have seen how to list files and folders using ls, and also how to filter files and folders using commands such as find. Then we have gone through the details about processing data in files using Linux commands. Then we have gone through the details about understanding file and folder properties. Typically, we see the file and folder properties using commands such as ls-l or ls-ltr. Now it is time for us to explore all the details with respect to managing files and folders in Linux. We'll start with the touch to create empty files and also update the properties of the files. Then we'll actually get into the details about creating the directories using mkdir. We'll also get an overview of awk command. We'll be using awk quite extensively as part of this section to take care of automation around commands such as cp, mv, rm, etc. cp is primarily used to copy the files and folders. mv is used to move files and folders from one location to another location. rm is used to remove files and folders based upon certain criteria. In between, we'll also see how to take the backup using tar, so that when we actually explore mv or rm, we will be able to restore the impacted folders to their original format. By the end of this section or module, you will not only be comfortable with commands such as cp, mv, rm, etc. You will also be comfortable with touch, mkdir, and also the commands such as awk for simple automations. Also, I'll be using find quite extensively in this as part of the automation. Also, you'll be picking up a very important command called as tar from the perspective of taking the backups. Make sure you go through each and every command and learn these commands. They will come handy in many ways as you evolve as a professional. At this time, we're actually going through the details about managing files and folders in Linux. First, we'll start with the touch, then we'll actually go through the rest of the commands that are relevant with respect to managing files and folders in Linux. Let's start with the usage of touch. We can actually say touch, then --help, hit enter. You can see there are quite a few control arguments that are relevant for the touch. The primary purpose of the touch is to create empty file. You should be able to create empty file using touch command in whatever folder you want. So in this case, I'm in the home folder for dgadraju. Let me actually run pwd command, which stands for present working directory. And you can see that there is a folder dgadraju under home. This is the home directory for this user called as dgadraju. Now I should be able to say touch, then dummy. If the file doesn't exist, it will just create the file. Let me run ls-ltr. You can see the dummy file here. Let me run rm command. Let me delete it. Now the file is deleted. You can see that there is no dummy file here. Now let me run touch again. If the file doesn't exist, it will just create that file. You can validate by running ls-ltr command. Even though it's an empty file, there are permissions associated with that file, and also there is the owner as well as group associated with that file. Now when it comes to running touch on top of existing file, it will just update the properties of the file. In this case, it will update the timestamp. If some other user try to use touch on the existing file where he have write permissions on that folder, it might even update the owner and group. But typically when we use touch on the existing file, it will update the timestamp on that file. You can see that the file dummy have 1:33 p.m. on April 25th as timestamp. Now if I run touch command again, before running touch command, let's run date command. Date will actually confirm the current time. You can see that it is 1:34 p.m. Now I can actually say touch dummy, hit enter. Now it have actually returned without any issues. Now if I say ls-ltr, you can see that the timestamp is updated to 1:34 p.m. Let me run once again. Now let me run ls-ltr once again. You can see that it is changed to 1:35. So touch will actually create a new empty file if the file doesn't exist. If the file already exists, it will just update the timestamp. Even though touch command is very simple, it is very effective with respect to streamlining the shell scripts. At this time, I don't want to cover the nuances related to shell scripting. Even in commands also, touch can be leveraged. For example, let's say I wanted to create files to generate the file names with specific naming convention. I should be able to use touch and I should be able to create files. Let's say I wanted to create files from 1 to 5 with a dummy as prefix. I just want to make sure I have empty files. For that, I can actually say touch, then dummy. Then I should be able to use expressions like this. It will take care of creating 5 files for us. Now we should be able to run ls-ltr command. You can see that 5 files are created. In case if you want to use cut and make sure you want to process these file names, you should be able to leverage touch to generate the files with certain naming convention. Touch is very effective to learn as well. Let me give another example so that it is clear for you. For now, let me delete all these files by saying rm dummy star, all the files which starts with the dummy will be deleted. You can validate by saying ls-ltr. You can see that there are no folders or files with dummy prefix. Now let's say I would like to learn some advanced stuff by combining ls command with cut to extract certain information from the file names. For that, I would like to generate some files with certain pattern. For example, I would like to create 20 files related to 4 albums. The naming convention is nothing but album1 underscore song1, album1 underscore song2, like that up to album1 underscore song5. Then I would like to have album2 underscore song1 up to album2 underscore song5 in the similar manner for album3 as well as album4. I should be able to use one touch command to generate all these files. I don't have to use multiple touch commands. In this case, I can actually say touch album and then 1 to 4, then underscore, then song, then 1 to 5. Also, let's make sure we have extension also. In this case, I'm saying mp4. This mp4 is just informational. All these files are text files only. Now the touch command is successful. Let me run ls-ltr. You can see 20 files here. You can run file command on any of these files. Let me say album1 underscore song1 dot mp4. It is actually saying empty. It is neither saying text file nor mp4 file. This is how you should be able to generate multiple files at once. Now let's say I would like to get all unique albums from this. Then I should be able to say ls-1, which will only give the file names. You can see it only gives the file names. I can actually say album star to get only these files, discarding the others. Now I can pipe this to cut, then -f or -d for delimiter. The delimiter is nothing but underscore. Then I can actually say -f1 to get the field 1, which is nothing but album. You can see album details. Now I should be able to pipe the output to sort and then unique to get all the unique albums. This is how I should be able to extract the information from the files when I generate files like this. So if you wanted to explore the commands with simpler examples like this, and if you wanted to create files so that you get some real experience, one of the ways to generate the files is by using touch command. You should be able to use patterns or expressions, and you should be able to generate multiple files at once. So the command that is used to generate all these files is nothing but this one. Let me show you. This is the command that is used. We should be able to use similar patterns as part of rm command as well. So let me actually use similar pattern and then pass it as argument to rm. All the files will be deleted at once. You can run ls-ltr and you can see that all the files are gone. This is one of the uses with respect to touch command to generate multiple files at once using certain patterns. In this case, we are not only learning commands such as touch, we are also getting used to patterns. Make sure you are comfortable with patterns as well. Already we have seen some patterns when we actually explored ls command in detail as part of the earlier modules. Now we are actually exploring different type of patterns where we are able to generate files using range. In this case, we have passed 1 to 4 with respect to album in curly braces like this, and we have passed 1 to 5 with respect to song using curly braces like this. It took care of creating the files using that range and also deleting the files using that range. So these patterns are pretty powerful. Make sure you are comfortable with these things. As we have understood the details related to touch command, now let's go to the details about mkdir command and understand how to create directories in Linux using mkdir command. Also, when it comes to touch, it can be used on top of non-empty files also. If you just use touch on non-empty files, it will actually behave the same way as it have behaved on existing empty file. It will just update the timestamp, and if there are enough permissions, it might even change the user details. For example, in this case, I have this gen_logs.sh. You can see that the timestamp related to this file is nothing but April 18th, 4:59 p.m. Now I can say touch and then gen_logs.sh. Now I can run ls-ltr. You can see the size is still 62 bytes. However, when it comes to the timestamp, now it is updated to April 25th, 1:59 p.m. So touch can be used to update the timestamp on existing files or folders. Whether they are empty or not, it doesn't matter. Sometimes we might have to use this approach to make sure the file is updated to show in a certain type of queries. However, it is not very common. But make sure you know the purpose of touch even on top of non-empty files if they're existing already. But if the file doesn't exist, it will always create empty file only. At this time, we are going through the details about managing files and folders in Linux. Folders are also known as directories. In the previous lecture, we have gone through the details about creating empty files or updating existing files using touch command. When it comes to update, primarily to update the properties of the file, not the content of the file. That being said, now let's explore a very important command in Linux, which is nothing but mkdir. Mkdir stands for make directory. You can actually get the usage of mkdir command in Linux by saying mkdir -help. It have very few control arguments. They are nothing but -p, -m. -p is a little bit important, and I'll be emphasizing on -p. The simplest form of mkdir command is like this. Let me say mkdir parent dir. Now you can see that the folder is created. At times we might want to create multiple levels of folders in one shot. Instead of creating the high level folder first and then getting into that folder and then creating second level folder and then getting into that folder and then again creating another subfolder, we can actually use mkdir -p command and we should be able to create the entire hierarchy. Let me take an example so that you understand what I'm talking about. In this case, let me delete this folder called as parent dir. Now let's say we would like to create folder hierarchy like this: retail, then orders, then year 2022, then month 04, then date 25. In this case, you cannot just use mkdir and make sure all these folders exist. Retail is the parent folder, 25 is the leaf level folder. In between we have orders, then 2022, then April, then 25th, right? If we try to run this command, it will complain saying that cannot create directory, no such file or directory, because to create this one, we need to make sure we have this entire stuff. To create this one, we need to make sure that we have this entire stuff for our hierarchy. To have 2022, we need to have this one, so on and so forth. Now, if you look at the help on mkdir by saying mkdir -help, there is a control argument called as -p. You can actually go to the details here. Also, there is the alias for this -p. It is nothing but -parents. Now, if you go to the description here, it says no error if existing. Make parent directories as needed. So, in case if any of the folder already exists in this, it will just ignore. It will not throw any error. However, if any of the folders are missing, they will be automatically created. Now, let me say mkdir retail. If I try to run the same command again, it will fail. In this case, it have failed saying cannot create directory retail, file exists. There is a reason why it is saying file exists instead of directory exists. Even a directory is nothing but file in Linux. Don't worry too much about this. In this case, you can see that this mkdir command is successful. However, when we try to run second time, it have failed. Now, if I say mkdir -p retail, as the folder exists, it will just ignore. You can see that it haven't thrown any error. Now, we should be able to copy this entire stuff. And then we can actually say mkdir -p except retail. None of the subfolders exist in the hierarchy. All those subfolders will be created once we paste it here. So let me paste here. Now you can see that the command is successful. You can also validate by saying find retail. You should be able to review all the subfolders here. Retail have orders. Retail orders have 2022. Then we have 04. Then 25. The parent folder for 25 is nothing but this one. The parent folder for this one is nothing but this one. The parent folder for this one is nothing but this one. This is the ultimate parent folder from the current directory. This is how you should be able to create the entire folder hierarchy. Even we can use patterns and we should be able to create multiple folder hierarchies as well. For example, let's say we would like to create multiple album folders. In each of the album folders, we would like to have artist folders. We can actually say mkdir -p and we should be able to specify the pattern and we should be able to create all the folders at once. In this case, if the pattern is album 1, album 2, album 3, album 4, in each of the albums, let's say there are 3 artists, we should be able to create all those folders in one shot. For that, we just have to say mkdir -p album, then 1 to 4, then slash, then artist 1, 2, 3. Now let me hit enter. Now let me say ls-ltr. You can see there are 4 folders album 1, album 2, album 3, album 4. Each of these folders have 3 subfolders. You can see the details here. This is how you should be able to create multiple folder hierarchies as well by passing certain patterns. Now let me remove these folders, both retail as well as all those which contain album in them. Now all the folders are gone. You can run lsf1ltr command to ensure that all the folders such as retail as well as the folders which starts with album are gone. That being said, this is how you should be able to use mkdir command not only to create one folder but also hierarchy of folders. We can also create multiple first level folders itself. Already we have seen this example of creating multiple folders with a certain pattern, again with subfolders in them. It actually took care of creating album 1, album 2, album 3, album 4 folders. In each of those folders, it have created subfolders by name artist 1, artist 2, artist 3. You can also create just first level folders by saying mkdir-p, then album, and then in curly braces 1 to 4. When it comes to creating the first level folders, you don't need to use -p. For example, in this case, if you just wanted to create album 1 to 4 folders, you can actually say mkdir album 1 to 4. It will take care of creating these folders for you. You can see all first level folders are created without any issues. Now let me say rm-rf, then album star, all the folders are gone. This is how you should be able to leverage mkdir command to make sure you create a bunch of folders at once. It comes very handy when it comes to generating certain datasets or folder structures to make sure you take care of validations or unit testing on your Linux based systems. Especially the one level hierarchy which we have seen earlier is quite useful. For example, if you look at this, creating retail orders 2022-04-25 folder hierarchy using one command comes very handy. Even we can actually create folders such as 2022-04 from 1 to 30 in one shot. You can again use patterns like this. In this case, we can specify the range like this. Now the folders will be created with that hierarchy. You can actually say find retail and you should be able to see the folders from 1 to 30 within 04. So all the folders can be created in one shot. So mkdir comes very handy with respect to generating the folders before copying the data into that folder hierarchy. Even as part of the shell scripting, we use it quite extensively. As part of this sectional module, we are in the process of understanding how to manage files and folders in Linux. So far, we have gone through the details about commands such as touch and mkdir. Touch is used to create empty files or update the properties of the existing files, whereas mkdir is primarily used to create empty folders. That being said, before getting into further commands to manage files and folders such as cp, mv, rm, etc., let's review a very important command called as awk or awk. I haven't covered this before. I'll be starting with simple examples for now. Later, wherever it is appropriate, we'll try to use awk. Already we have seen cut command to extract the information from the files. Awk can also be used in those scenarios. Let's review the cut command and then we'll actually see how to implement it using awk. Let me actually get into the folder called as data retail db, then orders. Let's review the last few lines in the file called as part-50, which is part of orders folder. You can see the last few lines here. These are nothing but records from some source table. When it comes to these records have values related to 4 different attributes. If you take one record, which is nothing but one line from part-50, you can see that there are 4 attribute values. The first one belongs to order ID, the second one belongs to order date, then the third one belongs to order customer ID, the fourth one belongs to order status. All these 4 attribute values are separated by comma. You can see comma here, and comma here. When it comes to using cut to extract certain information from these lines or records, it will be like this. Let's say we would like to get the order status, which is nothing but this one. It is nothing but the 4th value when it comes to each line after separated by comma. The way you can actually extract order status is like this. You have to say cut, then -d for delimiter. Delimiter is nothing but synonym for the separator. Then comma. In this case, comma is the delimiter. You can see the comma here. Then after delimiting each record with comma or separating each record with comma, we wanted to extract 4th field. And hence hyphen f for field, then 4. Then we should be able to specify the file name, which is nothing but this one. Now you can actually see the order statuses. You can also pipe the output to sort, then to unique, to get all the unique order statuses. You can also get all the unique order dates by just changing this 4 to 2. You can see the order date. If you want to get both order ID as well as order status, then you should be able to specify like this. First field is order ID, and hence we can say F1, then comma 4. Now we should be able to get only order ID and order status from each of the line in part-5 zeros. You can see the output here. Order ID and then order status. The values are separated by comma. This is the command which we have used to get order ID and order status. This is the command which we have used to get order status. Now let's say we would like to implement this using awk. It will be like this. Awk is quite powerful. It is much broader compared to cut, but we'll be seeing very simple examples to make sure we are comfortable with awk. As and when it is required, I will actually come up with simple one-liners using awk, and I will explain the command in detail. Now the awk command will be like this. Awk, the last argument can be the file name. Let's specify the file name here. Now we need to specify the delimiter. With respect to cut, we can specify the delimiter using -d. Then we have to specify the delimiter itself, which is nothing but comma. When it comes to awk, we should be able to specify the delimiter using -F. Here F stands for field delimiter. That's why they are using -F. Now when it comes to the delimiter, one of the ways to pass the delimiter is by using double quotes after -F. Now the records will be delimited by comma. However, we need to print whatever information we want to. In this case, we want to print order status. The print statement should be enclosed as part of single quotes like this. In that, we need to have curly braces like this. Within these curly braces, we can have print statement like this. Let me say space, then print. Then we should be able to specify $4 like this to get the fourth field after delimiting each and every line with comma. $4 means fourth element after delimiting by comma. Now we should be able to hit enter and we should be able to get the order statuses. We can also pipe the output to sort, then to unique to get only the unique order statuses. You can see the unique order statuses here. We are able to get this both by using cut as well as awk. However, when it comes to the cut command, you will not be able to prepend or append with a common string before the data that is extracted. For example, in this case, if I go to the cut command, let me go to this cut command where I have only extracted order statuses. Let's say instead of just printing order statuses like this, I would also want to prepend some common string like order status is something like that. With cut, it is not straightforward. You will not be able to use cut command only to get that additional information. You might have to pipe to some other command and you might have to take it further. With awk, you should be able to get that additional flexibility. Using awk, you can actually write very complex programs, but I don't want to get into those details. I'll be covering some of the common and simple examples using awk. So in this case, let's say we would like to add additional string before order status, something like this. Order status is, then we would like to print order status. Let me actually change O to capital here. Now let me remove sort and unique. When it comes to the actual data that is being extracted from the file, it is specified using this. There are no double quotes around it. But for the literal string, which is nothing but order status is, which is nothing but a constant value, we have enclosed in double quotes. Now we can hit enter. You can see the output. It says order status is before each and every order status. We can also pipe to sort and then to unique to just get unique order statuses. And you can see the output here. With cut, it is not very straightforward. You might have to use a bit complex technique to actually get this kind of output. So these are some of the advantages using awk. We'll be seeing quite a few examples as we go along. We have just got started with awk. In case if you wanted to deal with delimited data, you can specify the delimiter like this, and then you can have simple logic as part of curly braces and single quotes like this. You can actually pass the file name like this. You can also cat this file and then pipe the output of this cat command to the awk. We can also use this approach. Let me paste here. Now let me say sort, then pipe, then unique. You can see the output here. So you should be able to pipe the output of commands such as cat, ls, so and so forth to awk, and you should be able to process the output as well. We'll see quite a few examples from that perspective very soon. For now, we have just covered some basic usage of awk. Even though awk is very powerful, don't try to master awk. Awk itself is very complex and it will take too much of time to master awk. Just focus on how it can be leveraged for simple tasks like this. That is more than enough rather than mastering the awk. If you want to be a hardcore Linux professional, probably mastering awk makes sense. For all other roles, mastering awk by spending too much of time doesn't make sense. Just follow some of the examples which I am covering and try to understand the command and make sure you can explore depending upon the requirements and try to use it for some simple automations. At this time, we are going through the details about managing files and folders in Linux. In this lecture, let me walk you through a very important command called as cp. cp is primarily used to copy the files from one location to another location within the same Linux-based system. For now, let me go to the home directory by saying cd. Now I am in the home directory. Let me create a folder by name demo. Now the folder is created. Now let me get into the demo folder. Now let me go to the details about cp command. To understand the uses of cp command, let me make sure to create some files. I'll be creating empty files using touch command. So let me say touch and let me create multiple files in one shot. I would like to create files with this pattern: album 1 to 4, then song 1 to 5. Also, I would like to have the extension mp4. So it will take care of creating 20 files. Let's run this. Then let's run ls-l to see the output. You can see the file names here: album1 underscore song1.mp4, album1 underscore song2.mp4. Like that, we have up to album4 underscore song5.mp4. Now, using these files, let's explore the copy command. You can get the usage of copy command by saying cp-help. You can see there are quite a few options with respect to copy command. Let me actually go up here. There are quite a few options. I'll be covering some of the important ones. They are nothing but -f, which is nothing but force. Also, there is something called as -r for recursive. You can see here. Either you can use -r or -R or -recursive for recursive. On top of -R or -R or -recursive, as well as -f or -force, another important control argument is nothing but -p or -preserve. You can see the details here. This will facilitate us to copy even the properties of the files if we are dealing with multiple users. So these three are the important control arguments with respect to cp command. Also, you need to make sure you are comfortable using cp from the automation perspective. Let's see a few examples so that you understand all important aspects of cp command to copy the files. As we got overview about cp command and also as we have set up files, now let's go to the details about using it. Let me say ls-ltr. Let me list the files here. We have several files here. All files have certain pattern. Now let's say I would like to copy this file to some other location. Let's say temp. Temp is a standard location where everyone have right access to. I should be able to copy like this. I can actually first create a directory under temp by saying mkdir/temp. Let me name it as demo itself. Now the folder is created. Now you should be able to copy these files into this folder. The syntax is like this. You can say cp, then specify the file name, album1 underscore song1.mp4. I'm only copying one file here. Then I should be able to say /tmp/demo. Now this file will be copied into this location with the same name, even if you do not specify the target file name. Let me hit enter. Now the file is created. Now let me say ls-ltr/tmp/demo. You can see the file under /tmp/demo. Now let's try copying another file, which is nothing but this one. Let me copy this, paste here. Then I can actually say /tmp/demo/ I can give the name here as well. So whatever name is given here, using that name, it will actually copy the file into this location. So earlier we haven't specified any name. It have used whatever source name that is there with respect to this file, and it have copied using the same name under the target location, which is nothing but this one. We have already reviewed. This time we have specified the file name. In this case, both the source file name and the target file name under target folder /tmp/demo are same. Now let's hit enter. The file will be copied. Now let's run ls-ltr. We should be able to see both the files here. Now I would like to have a folder called as albums under /tmp/demo. For each and every album, I would like to have a separate folder, and then I just wanted to have files as song1.mp4, song2.mp4, song3.mp4, etc. Let's see an example so that you understand what I'm talking about here. First, let me create a folder by name /tmp/demo/albums. In that albums folder, let me create another folder by name album1. Now let's say ls-ltr. Let's copy this, then paste. You can see that it is empty. Now I would like to copy songs as song1.mp4, song2.mp4, song3.mp4, song4.mp4, song5.mp4, which have album1 as prefix. I should be able to say cp like this, and then let's say album1 underscore song3.mp4. The target location is nothing but this one. Now if I run this, it will actually copy the file with this name itself in this target location. However, I wanted to copy as song3.mp4. I should be able to specify whatever name I want to give to this new file that is being copied into that location. Now if I say ls-ltr tmp demo albums album1, we can see one file song3.mp4. So this is how you should be able to copy with a different name than the source name. The target location is nothing but this one. The target file is nothing but this one. This is how we should be able to leverage to copy files from one location to another location. Now in this case, we wanted to restructure these files in such a way that we have 4 folders: album1, album2, album3, album4, and then we wanted to copy the respective songs of respective album to appropriate folder. All song1, song2, song3, song4, song5 related to album1 should go to album1. Songs with same name with album2 should go to album2, so and so forth. Instead of copying one file at a time, we should automate this. Let's go to the automation in the subsequent lectures in this sectional module. First, we'll try to create folders by name album1, album2, album3, album4. Then we will see how to copy all the files at once to the appropriate folders. Before getting into those details, let's clean up temp demo folder. I can actually say rm-rf, then /tmp/demo/star. Everything will be cleaned up. We can actually validate by saying ls-ltr /tmp/demo. You can see that it is empty. I will be explaining the command rm-rf very soon in this section. For now, don't worry too much about it. Just use this command to clean up the temp demo folder. All the subfolders and files under temp demo are gone. Now let me actually create a new folder by name albums under temp demo. Let's go to the details about creating the 4 folders album1, album2, album3, album4 using a simple one-liner under this folder. I'll be covering those details in the next lecture. As part of this sectional module, we are going through the details about managing files and folders in Linux. In that process, we are understanding cp command in detail. We have already gone through the details related to cp command, where we are able to copy the files with the same name as well as different name from source location to the target location. Now we are in the process of automating the copy process so that the songs go to the respective albums. First, let's go ahead and create folders by names album1, album2, album3, album4. Either we can use mkdir command, or we should be able to automate the process using awk command. If you wanted to use mkdir command, you can actually take care of creating all the 4 folders at once by saying mkdir. You can add -p. In case if there are folders already, it will ignore. Otherwise, it will create. Before running this command, let's review the details with respect to temp demo albums. You can see that it is empty. Now we can say mkdir -p, then temp demo albums, then album. In curly braces, you can say 1 to 4. It will take care of creating all the 4 folders at once. Now to validate, we should be able to run ls-ltr command, which we have ran earlier. You can see all the 4 folders are created. Now let me remove these 4 folders. I'm actually saying rm-rf temp demo albums. then I should be able to say album star. All the 4 folders will be gone. We can validate by running this once again. Another way of automating the creation of the folders based upon the names that are there as part of the files here is by using awk. You can also use cut to get the unique album names. However, using cut command to generate the mkdir command will be a little bit tricky. With awk, it is straightforward. So in this case, I can say awk hyphen capital F, then underscore is the delimiter. We need to make sure we pass the output of ls-ltr to the awk command like this. Now for this output, underscore is the delimiter. To get the album names, I just have to print the first value that is extracted after delimiting by underscore. We should be able to specify print like this. We need to make sure we enclose the print command between curly brace and single quote. Now let's hit enter. You can see that we got all the album names. However, we have got this additional information. There is a command called as ls-1 which will actually display the file names using single column. You can see here. So instead of using ls-ltr output, I should be able to use ls-1 output to make sure that we get only the album names, not the additional information. Now let me say -1. Let me hit enter. You can see the names of the albums here. Now we should be able to say sort, then unique. We should be able to get all the 4 album names here. Now I would like to use mkdir command and create the folders by these names under /tmp/demo/albums. So in this case, I can actually say print, then double quotes, then I can actually say /tmp/demo/albums. I haven't added mkdir here. Now let me hit enter. There is / missing. So let me add / also after albums so that we get the names properly. Now we can actually use mkdir on top of it and we should be able to create these 4 folders at once. Now let's improvise this command by adding mkdir-p in this double quotes. It will just print this command. It will not execute. Let's validate the location to confirm whether the folders exist or not. For that, I should be able to use this ls-ltr command on temp demo albums. You can see there are no folders in that location. Now this actually gives us the required mkdir commands. We need to execute these 4 commands so that the 4 folders are created without any issues. For that, you can just hit up arrow, then pipe, then pass it to bash. All these will be executed as commands. That's it. All the 4 folders are created at once. Now let's use ls-ltr on temp demo albums. You can see the 4 folders. What is the advantage of using this approach? Depending upon the file names, we are able to extract the album names and we are able to create these albums. Even though mkdir command can be used using ranges, it is not appropriate to use it. In this case, I have simplified file names. In your case, the album names might be different. You might have a pattern where the songs are named after album name underscore song name with extension, and you might want to extract the album names which is there before first underscore, and you want to create folders. You should be able to use this approach. ls-1 have given the file names in a single column. Then the output of this command is passed to this, which have actually generated the mkdir commands. However, there might be multiple entries because there are multiple files with album 1, album 2, album 3, album 4 prefixes. We have sorted and we have applied unique on top of it to get unique mkdir commands like this. These mkdir commands are then passed to bash, which resulted in creating folders for us like this. That being said, as the 4 albums are created, now it is time for us to copy the respective songs to respective folders. Let's see how we can automate and copy all the files at once rather than copying one file at a time. At this time, we are going to the details related to managing files and folders in Linux. We have already gone to the commands such as touch, mkdir, cp, etc. We have also got an overview of awk command. At this time, we are exploring cp command and we want to automate the process of copying multiple files at once using some criteria. So in this case, if you look at the source files under demo, the file names are like this. They are nothing but album1 underscore song1, song2, song3, song4, song5, then album2 underscore song1, song2, song3, song4, song5, so on and so forth. We have target folders in this location. The folder names are nothing but album1, album2, album3, album4. First, let us understand how to copy the files without automation. Then we'll actually go to the details related to automation. While automating, we'll also make sure the requirements are improvised further. That being said, in this case, if I just wanted to copy all these 5 songs into this folder, album1 under temp demo albums, the command will be like this. We can say cp, then album1 star.mp4. So all those files which have album1 prefix will be picked. In this case, we are even filtering for only those files with mp4 extension. Now I should be able to say target folder, which is nothing but temp demo albums, then album1. Now the files are copied into that location. You can validate by saying ls-ltr temp demo albums album1. You can see the 5 files there. Now you can take care of copying the songs related to album2 to respective folder again by using same cp command. We can say cp album star.mp4. Then we should be able to specify the target location as tmp, then demo, then albums, then album2. Now the files with the prefix album2 are actually copied into this location. We should be able to validate by saying ls-ltr then temp demo albums album2. We can see the 5 files here. In this manner, we should be able to even copy the files related to album3. We just have to improvise saying cp album3 then temp demo albums album3 like this. Now the files related to album3 are actually copied into this location. We can validate by running ls-ltr on that location. I haven't copied this into the buffer, that's why it have pasted album2 rather than album3. Let me hit up arrow. Let me replace 2 with 3. You can see the files related to album3 in this folder. We can also copy the files related to album4 into the specific location, which is nothing but temp demo albums album4. The command to copy looks like this. Now all the files are copied to respective folders. To validate, we should be able to leverage find command and validate all the files at once. We can say find, then tmp, then demo, then albums. Then we should be able to specify hyphen name like this, then star.mp4. We can actually get the details. In this case, I have to specify the pattern as part of double quotes like this. As there was no double quotes, it was failing earlier. Now you can see the output. You can actually see the folder name and the respective song names. This is how you should be able to copy the files. However, if you wanted to make it a bit more specific and if you wanted to copy the songs with only the title names without album names, then using this cp command will not work. We need to make sure we include cp as part of automation using awk. We'll go to those details as part of the next lecture. Before getting into the next lecture, let's remove all these files at once. Using find command itself, we should be able to use -excc, then rm, then we should be able to use curly braces like this, then plus, then semicolon. Now all the files will be gone. However, it have failed because there is a syntax error here. I need to make sure there is a space between curly braces and plus. Now let me hit enter. Now the files are gone. We should be able to use find command by saying find tmp demo albums to validate whether the files exist or not. As of now, there are no files in this folder. We have folders album1, album2, album3, album4, but these folders doesn't contain any files. Now let's take care of copying the songs with only titles without albums to respective albums, which means we would like to copy song 1, song 2, song 3, song 4, song 5 with those names only, but the songs which are related to album 1 will go to album 1, the songs which are related to album 2 will go to album 2. Let's see the example as part of the next lecture so that you understand what I'm talking about, and also you will be understanding how to automate using the power of awk and cp to take care of this complex copy. As part of this sectional module, we are in the process of understanding how to manage files and folders in Linux. So far, we have gone through commands such as touch, mkdir, cp, etc. Now, we are at a position where we wanted to automate the process of copying the files with certain patterns. In this case, we have the source files using this format. You might have got several songs from your friend with album name prefix, then underscore, then the song title. Now you want to organize in your own way, where you want to create folders based upon album names, and in those album names you just want to have the songs using the song title names without having album name as prefix. In this case, the source files are under demo within home directory of D. Gadiraju. The target location where we wanted to organize the files in a different way is nothing but this one, temp demo albums, and then the names of the folders are based upon the albums. You can see the folders here. So we'd like to copy the files to the respective folders. So in this case, with respect to this song, we need to use command like this: cp album1 underscore song1 dot mp4, then temp demo albums album1, then it should be song1 dot mp4. This is how we should be coming up with cp command, so that we can execute all at once to make sure all the songs are copied to respective folders with the song title names. We should be able to use awk, and we should be able to generate a command like this. Once we get commands like this, we should be able to pass these commands to bash, and we should be able to copy all songs at once. Now let me hit Ctrl+C so that the cp command is not executed and come out of that line. Now we should be able to say ls-1, which will generate only the names of the files as output. It will not have any additional properties. Now I can actually say pipe awk -f or -F underscore is the delimiter. Now I can actually come up with print statement in this. Now we have to use this command as reference. So let me say double quotes here. We have to say cp. Now if we use $1, it will only get the album name. If we use $2, it will only get this part. Let's see so that you understand what I am talking about here. In this case, let's say cp in double quotes, then come out of it, then space, then $1. Space is optional. Just to make it readable, I am using space here. However, this space is mandatory. Without this space, cp and the data that is extracted will be concatenated together. Now cp space, then the $1, which is nothing but album1, album2, album3, album4. You can see the output here. Okay, now if I say $2, it will get song1.mp4, song2.mp4, song3.mp4, etc. Now to get the complete record along with the part of it, we have to use this approach. We have to say $0. Let me first come up with the command, then I will explain in detail. Then we need to have a space, and hence let me say $. Now let me actually say $2. Now let me hit enter. Now you can see that we got cp, then the original name, then part of it. We got original name because we have $0. $0 have a significance around it. It will actually give us the original record itself without extracting part of it based upon the delimiter. Using $2, you can actually extract the second part of it. Now this is supposed to be concatenated with /tmp/demos/albums. So in this case, we can improvise further this command like this. We can say tmp, then demos, then albums, then hit enter. However, if we just make sure we pass this output to bash, it will actually create the songs within temp demos albums, which is not right. We wanted to create as part of respective folders such as album1, album2, album3, album4. So in this case, we also need to make sure we dynamically pass the folder name into which these files should be copied to using these names. So the way you can achieve it is like this. You can hit up arrow. Now you can actually say $1. $1 is the one which actually gives us album1, album2, album3, album4, etc. Then you have to include / like this. Then you have to specify $2. Now let's hit enter. You can see the output here. cp, the original song name, then the target folder along with the song name. Both the folder and the song name are extracted from the original name of the file itself. You can see here $1 is nothing but the folder name, which is from here. $2 is nothing but song name, which is from here. Now we should be able to pass this or pipe this to bash. All these statements which are printed here will be executed at once. However, it have failed. it could be because there might be bug in this. Let's troubleshoot and then take it further. For now, let's copy this. We are supposed to have this folder already. Let me say ls-ltr, paste. You can see that there are no folders such as album 1, album 2, album 3, album 4 in this path. Now, I think there is a error or bug in this. The original folder I think is nothing but /tmp/demo. Let's say ls-ltr/tmp/demo. Then albums. You can see that album 1, album 2, album 3, album 4 exists under temp demo albums, but under temp there is no demos. Let me say ls-ltr then /tmp. There is no demos, that's why it was failing. Now let's hit up arrow and then fix the bug in this piece of command. I just have to replace demos with demo, then hit enter. Now all the files are copied at once. You should be able to validate by saying find then temp demo albums, hit enter. You can see all the MP4 files are copied to specific folders using only the title names, discarding the album names because the folders themselves are named after album names. This is how you should be able to leverage awk with other commands such as cp along with bash to take care of the automation like this. It is very, very important for you to understand these capabilities of awk and also how to integrate multiple commands to achieve whatever you are looking for without putting too much of effort. You'll only be able to take care of these things comfortably by coming up with your scenarios and by practicing enough. At this time, we are going through the details related to cp command in the pursuit of managing files and folders in Linux. We have gone to the details with respect to copying the files, and also we have gone to the details with respect to automation while copying the files. Now let's understand how to copy the folders using cp command. At this time, we have a folder by name temp demo. In that we have albums. You can see that there are 4 folders: album 1, album 2, album 3, album 4. Now let's say I would like to copy all the files and folders within albums into demo. The source location is this one. The target location is nothing but demo or current working directory. For that, we should be able to use cp-r, r for recursive. You can also say --recursive, but -r is commonly used more than --recursive. Then you should be able to specify the source location, which is nothing but this one. Then you can actually specify the target location. Dot represents the present working directory, and hence I am saying dot. So albums folder will be copied to this. So you'll be seeing albums folder in this current folder. Before running it, let me say ls-ltr to see if there is a folder by name albums. You can see that this folder doesn't contain any folders. That being said, now I can say cp-r/tmp/demo/albums, then dot. We can hit enter, then we can say ls-ltr. You can see the albums folder copied here. You can validate whether all the subfolders and files are copied or not by saying find albums like this, and you can see all the subfolders and files within albums. Everything is copied successfully. Now if you try to run cp-r command once again, let's see what happens. It is copying without any issues. So by default, it is actually doing force copy. That's why it is copying without any issues. Otherwise, it will throw errors. That being said, it is not very important for us to explore -f, which is nothing but force, because by default, it is using force option. If force option is not used, when we run these commands, it should fail. Now let me make sure there is no corruption with respect to these folders. I have ran find albums once again, and we can see all the subfolders and files related to albums in it. I will also talk about the corruption issue. Sometimes what happens when we try to use cp command, we might end up corrupting the existing folders. When I say corrupt, it might end up accomplishing the task against our original intention. For example, let's say I would like to create this albums folder under demo as is from temp demo albums. Now let me delete the albums folder which is there in the current directory. Let me run ls-ltr. There is no directory by name albums in this. You can see here we have only files. Now if I say cp-rf, then temp demo albums, and if I specify albums here, it will create this folder and it will recursively copy the contents of this folder into this. You can actually run this, and then you should be able to say find albums to validate what we have as part of the albums folder. Now, if we rerun this command once again, cp-r or -rf, either of the commands, if we run it again, it is successful. However, it will end up creating a subfolder by name albums within albums. You can see here. We have the original files intact, and then we have subfolder albums, and again in that subfolder albums it have copied the files from the source location. So the target folder ended up in corruption. It is not actually meeting our original intention. It is because of this command. When we say cp-r/temp/demo albums and specify the target location, if it doesn't exist, it is fine. If it exists, if the target is a folder, it will try to copy the source folder as a subfolder in the target folder, which is not right. Now to clean this up, we can actually use rm-rf, then albums, then albums. Now the folder is deleted. In case if there are any changes to the original location, for example, let's go to temp demo, then albums. Let's say we have new album now, mkdir album 5. Let's generate few files in it, saying song, then range 1 to 5 .mp4. Now we got a new set of files in this. We can say ls-ltr album 5, and we can see the 5 songs here. Now let's go to the demo folder. Now if we use this command once again, cp-r temp demo albums, instead of just copying album 5 folder under albums, it will actually create a subfolder by name albums under albums, and it will copy all the albums once again, which is not right. So in this case, either you can say cp-r temp demo albums and then album 5 like this, it should work, or you can just say cp-r temp demo albums dot. It will refresh the current folder. Now let's say find and then albums. You can see album 5 and respective songs. Let me clean album 5 from this folder. Let me say rm-rf, then albums, then album 5. Now album 5 folder is gone. Now I should be able to use cp-r command by saying temp demo albums, then space, then dot, hit enter. Now we should be able to use find albums and review the output. You can see the data as per the expectations. So you need to make sure you don't specify the target location with the same folder name, especially if the folder already exists. It will end up corrupting the folder. You have to be careful with it. That being said, we have already covered -r, which actually takes care of copying the files recursively. In Ubuntu based systems, it seems -f is by default, and hence even when I don't use -f, it is actually copying the files by replacing the existing target files. In other operating systems or even earlier versions of Ubuntu, it might fail if the force is not default for the cp command. Just make sure you understand the relevance of -f command, even though I haven't demonstrated. Also, before you move on, make sure you remember that to copy the folders recursively, you have to use -r. Without -r, you will not be able to copy the folders recursively. Let me demonstrate so that you understand and remember about this. If I just say cp, then temp demo albums, and if I specify the target location as a dot, you see it is failing. It is saying -r not specified, omitting directory, because temp demo albums is directory. So in the pursuit of copying folders or copying the contents of folders or directories, you have to use -r always. -r stands for recursive. At this time, we are exploring cp command in detail. Another important control argument with respect to cp command is nothing but -p. -p is primarily to preserve. Let me go through the uses of cp command. Let's scroll up here. You can see details related to -p here. It is nothing but to preserve. We should be able to preserve the mode, which is nothing but the permissions, the ownership, and also the timestamps. Let's make sure we set up the appropriate environment to explore this very important cp command. It comes very handy to copy the files from one location to another location without losing the details about those files. Now, let me go to one level up. Let me delete this folder. Demo, it is not required anymore. Now let me say ls-ltr We have data folder. Let's go to the data folder retail_db. Let's say ls-ltr. You can see that the folders have April 8th, 11/24 as the timestamp. You can also go to one level up and you should be able to get the details about all the files and folders under retail_db by just saying find retail_db, then -exec, then ls-ltr, then curly braces, then plus, then semicolon, then we can hit enter. We can see the details about each and every folder and file in retail_db. Let me keep it a little bit straightforward by saying -type f. In this case, I'm only printing the permissions, the ownership as well as timestamp only for the files. I'm not printing for folders. You can see even the files have timestamp as April 8th, 11/24. Now I would like to preserve these details when I copy the files into some other location. For that, I should be able to use a command called as cp with -p. It will actually try to preserve the timestamp, the ownership, and also the mod. All these three information will be preserved. Before actually taking it further, let me actually change the permissions on these files to 640. As of now, we have 644. I would like to change the permissions to 640. For that, I should be able to use command called as chmod 640. Then I can say retail_db, then a star, which means all the folders, then slash, then star. All the files in all the folders will be affected by this. You can see that the command ran successfully. Now let me run this find command. You can see the properties of these files. It is 640, which means owner have read and write permissions. The members in the group have read permissions. Others doesn't have any permissions. Now let me add a new user by name dev1 and then we'll take it further. To actually take care of adding the user, we should be able to use sudo like this. Sudo user add dev1. However, I would like to create home directory for this user. And also I would like to specify the shell as /bin/bash. We have gone through this command earlier. Now I have to enter the password. Now the user should be created. We should be able to validate by saying id dev1. You can see the details of this user. The group is also dev1 only. And there is no group called as dev which can be added as a primary group for this user. That's why I haven't specified the group name here. Now dev1 user is created along with group dev1. Now let me sudo as dev1. Now I have logged in as dev1 user. Now let me copy the files directly from data retail_db under home directory of user dgadraju into temp folder. Because by default on temp folder everyone will have write access. So I can say cp-r, then /home/dgadraju, then data, then retail_db, then /temp. Let me hit enter. It is complaining saying the permission is denied. I will tell you why it is complaining saying the permission is denied, because we have removed the permissions from others. Others cannot read the files. That's why we are not able to copy the files. Let me get into the dgadraju user. Let me change the permission to 644 once again. As others doesn't have read permissions earlier, it have failed. First let me actually say find retail_db -type f, hit enter. Let me also use -exec ls-ltr curly braces, then plus, then semicolon. Make sure you have space between curly braces and plus. As the others which are not part of this group doesn't have read permissions, as dev1 is not part of this group and also is not owner for this file, we got into this permission denied error. We can run this command to actually change the permissions on these files where the others have read permissions. You can actually validate after running this command using find again. You can see that now others have the read permissions on all these files, which means now as dev1 as user, I should be able to copy the files without any issues. Now let me get into the dev1 user by saying sudo su-dev1. Let me hit up arrow to go to the cp command and let's try running this. This time the folder is copied without any issues. Now let's say ls-ltr/tmp. You can see the retail_db folder here. However, when it comes to the timestamp, it is saying April 26th, 12:36. it is different from the original date and timestamp which we have for retail DB. We can also validate on all the files by saying find temp retail underscore DB excc ls-ltr plus semicolon. I would also like to add hyphen type f so that we get details only related to the files. You can see the timestamp here. It is nothing but April 26th, 12:39. Now we should be able to use the same cp-r command with p, which will take care of preserving the timestamp. Let me say p here. Let me hit enter. Now the files are copied. Let's run find command. Now you can see the timestamp here. It is as per the original files. If dev1 have the permissions to manage the permissions as well as the ownership against these files, even it will try to preserve the ownership as well as the permissions. However, standard users such as dev1 will not have such kind of permissions. When we use standard users such as dev1, when we try to copy the files using p, it will only take care of retaining the timestamp. Sometimes we might want to retain the ownership as well. For that, if the user is sudoer, we should be able to use the sudo and we can take it further. Now let's say I would like to create retail underscore db1 folder using temp retail db as the source folder. I should be able to take care of using cp command like this. I can say sudo cp hyphen rp. First let me actually use sudo cp hyphen r, then temp retail underscore db. In this case I am using sudo because dgadraju is sudoer. Now let me say /tmp /retail underscore db1. Let me hit enter. Now let me say ls-ltr /tmp, hit enter. When it comes to retail underscore db1, you can see the owner as root, group as root. When it comes to the permissions, these are default permissions based on umask. When it comes to the timestamp, it is saying April 26, 0042, which is the current time. Now I can actually say cp-r, then p, then let's say temp retail db2. Let me hit enter. Now let me say ls-ltr /temp. Now if you review the details with respect to retail underscore db2, the owner is dev1, which is dev1 from retail db. The group is dev1, which is dev1 from retail db. When it comes to the timestamp, it is same as retail db. You can see the timestamp here. That same timestamp is inherited for retail underscore db2. It is very, very important for you to understand the relevance of p. P is primarily to preserve the properties of the files or folders that are being copied using cp. As part of this external module, we are going through the details related to managing files and folders in Linux. In the past few lectures, we have gone through a command called as cp, which is used to actually copy files from one location to another location. Now it is time for us to explore a command called as mv, which stands for move, to move files from one location to another location. The main difference between cp and mv or copy and move is nothing but with cp you'll be having 2 copies of the files, whereas with mv you'll be having only 1 copy of the files at the destination. The files at the source will be gone. That being said, first let's see the usage of mv command by running mv -help. You can see the usage of mv command here. One of the most important argument which we typically use with mv is nothing but -f or -force. It will make sure you are not prompted before overwriting. It will just overwrite the files or folders automatically for us. At times, we might also end up using -i or -interactive so that the target files are not accidentally overwritten. Except for these two, we don't use other arguments that often. When it comes to cp, we also use R for recursive. In case if you want to copy a folder which contains files and folders in it, then we use -r or -recursive to ensure that the folder or directory is copied recursively. Many times if we use cp very often, we end up making the mistake of using -r with mv. It will not work because there is no -r option with respect to mv command. Now let's see few examples so that we understand how to copy the files. Let me say ls-ltr. You can see there are quite a few folders and files. Let me actually create a folder called as demo. Let me get into that demo folder. Now let me run the touch command which we have used earlier to actually copy multiple files and folders. In this case, I'll be using this touch command, touch album 124 _ song 125.mp4. Now you can see bunch of files here. Now let's say we would like to move these files from one location to another location. You can actually create another folder and you should be able to move all these files in one shot. Now let me create another folder called as /tmp/albums. Now we have albums folder under /tmp. If we would like to move only one file at a time, we should be able to use command like this: mv, specify the file name, let's say album1_song1. Then we should be able to specify the target location like this. Now the file is moved. We can say ls7ltr/tmp/albums. Even though I haven't specified the name for the target file, it used the same name as source and the file is moved here. Now if I say ls7ltr, you can see that there is no album1_song1.mp4 here. The file is gone. Earlier it is here. Now it is not there. Now when it comes to move command, as in cp command, you should be able to move the file with a different name also. So move can be used for renaming these files. Now the way you can actually rename the file while moving to different location is like this. You can say mv album1_song2.mp4. Then we should be able to specify the target file name. Let's say song2.mp4. Let me also say a1_song2.mp4 because we have other song2s also. That's why I would like to have some prefix which represents album1. Now you can see that it is moved successfully. We should be able to validate in the destination by using this command. You can see there are two files. One is album1_song1.mp4. The other one is nothing but a1_song2.mp4. Now if I say ls7ltr, album1_song2, which was there earlier, is now gone. You can also use the approach of ls-ltr pipe wc-l to get the number of files. You can see there are 19 of them. The reason why it is saying 19 is it is also counting this. To make sure it only consider the entries with mp4 extension, we can actually say star.mp4 like this and then pipe to wc-l. Now you can see that we have 18 files in this location. Originally we have created 20 files. So this is how we should be able to validate what is happening internally by using simple commands which you have already learned earlier. Now you should be able to move multiple files at once using patterns. Let's say I would like to move all files related to album1 at once. What I can do, I can say mv, then album1_star.mp4. It is optional to have .mp4. To make sure we only copy .mp4 which starts with album1, we can add this .mp4 at the end. Now we need to specify the target location. Let me say /tmp/albums. Now all the three files which have album1 as prefix should be moved to target location. We can validate by saying ls7ltr tmp albums. Even though we will be able to move files at once to the target location using this approach, in case if you wanted to rename these files based upon certain patterns, using mv command alone will not suffice. We have to use the combination of awk and mv, then only it will work. That being said, let me give you a problem statement. Think through it, try to come up with a solution. If not, watch the next lecture and go through the solution so that you can understand what I'm talking about here. Now let me hit Ctrl+C to come out of it. Let me say ls-ltr. We can see that in the current location demo, we have several files with album2 prefix, album3 prefix and album4 prefix. Let's say I would like to move all the files which belong to album2 to /tmp/albums. However, while moving there, I would like to rename these files to a2_song1, a2_song2, etc. Which means the album name will be changed to a2. If you want to run one command at a time, we can use this approach. We can say mv album2_song1.mp4, then /tmp/albums, then /a2_song1.mp4. Now if you wanted to move all the files, it is not possible. If you just say star here, let's say star here, then let's say star here, and then try running it, you can see that it is failing. It is failing because it could not figure out what basis the file should be moved. That being said, as we have seen with the CP, where we have copied multiple files with different names at once using a combination of awk and CP, we should be able to come up with a solution for MV also. You should be able to use this command called as history. Then you should be able to pipe to grep, let's say CP, and also let's say grep awk. We should be able to see all the commands which we have gone through earlier. This is the command which we have used to copy multiple files at once with different names. You should be able to leverage this approach, and you should be able to come up with the solution using MV to move multiple files with different names to the target location. Try out by yourself. If you could not figure out, watch the next lecture. I'll go step by step so that you understand how to move multiple files at once by giving different names at the target. First, let's come up with the logic to create all the 3 folders at once. The 3 folders we are supposed to create are nothing but album 2, album 3, album 4. ls-1 will only give the file names in one column. It will not print any of the properties of these files. This is a good starting point. As we have seen earlier, to create the folders, we can say ls-1, then awk, then -F. In this case, underscore is the delimiter. Then we can actually say single quote, curly braces, print $1. Then curly braces, then single quote. So print statement should be enclosed in single quote and curly braces. Now we should be able to hit enter, and we can actually get the album names. We can actually sort and then apply unique to get all the unique album names. Now we want to create the folders. For that, we can actually say mkdir. The target location for these folders is nothing but this one, /tmp/albums. Then under /tmp/albums, we should be seeing folders such as album 2, album 3, album 4. Now let's hit enter. You can see the mkdir commands. Now we should be able to pipe the output, which is nothing but the set of mkdir commands, to bash. Hit enter. Album 2 already exists, that's why it failed. Let's validate whether album 3 and album 4 are created or not. For that, we should be able to say ls-ltr, then /tmp/albums. You can see that album 3, album 4 are created. Also, with respect to album 2, as it already exists, it have failed. To make sure it doesn't throw these errors in case of folders already exist, we should be able to use control argument called as -p. If the folders already exist, it will just ignore. You can see it didn't throw any error, even though album 2, album 3, album 4 already exists in temp albums. Now we want to move the songs into respective album folders by discarding the album names from the song names. For that, the logic will be like this. We can say ls-l, then pipe, then awk, then underscore is the delimiter. We have to pass the delimiter using -F. Then we should be able to say print. As part of the print, we have to give the move command. So we have to say mv. So in this case, the original song name, which is nothing but this one, should be moved to song4.mp4 under /tmp/albums album 2. So we have to get the complete song name. For that, we should be able to use $0. We have seen this earlier also. Now I am reiterating. This will actually say mv whatever song name we have. It will not delimit and extract part of it. So $0 means the original line itself, or the original record in the output itself. Now we should be able to say /tmp/albums/ Now we have to specify the album into which it is supposed to be copied. As these records are delimited by underscore, we should be able to say $1, which will give us the album name. The album names are nothing but album 2, album 3, album 4. Now we need to make sure the song name is also changed. This is a folder, and hence first we need to close the folder, and then we have to specify the target song name. In this case, the target song name is nothing but this part. The first part before underscore should be discarded while giving the name to the songs, and hence we should be able to say $2 like this. Now we can validate by closing the curly braces and also the single quotes. Hit enter. It should print the appropriate MV command. However, there is a space missing here. I haven't executed these commands. I have just printed how the commands will look like. Now the space is missing here, especially after giving the source file name. We need to add that space. Now we can hit enter. Now you can review the commands which we have generated using the awk. Now the commands look fine. All we need to do is hit up arrow, then pipe, then bash. Hit enter. It will take care of moving all the files at once. You can validate by saying ls-ltr/tmp/albums, then slash, then album 2, album 3, album 4. You can see the songs are now renamed in such a way that the album names are gone from the song names. This is how you should be able to move multiple files at once while changing the names of them. That being said, these kind of scenarios are not only relevant for projects but also as part of our day-to-day usage. You might have quite a lot of images using certain patterns. Now you might want to reorganize them. You should be able to use either CP or MV in combination with awk, and you should be able to automate the renaming of your files using the new approach. Also, your friends might share songs or movies in the form of DVDs or USB drives or hard drives. You might want to organize while copying into your system. Again, you should be able to leverage this approach, and you should be able to rename the titles. Now, let me remind you few scenarios which might not be related to projects where these can come handy. For example, you might end up downloading songs from different websites over a period of time. You might want to organize in a proper form so that you can access those with ease. Each website might give you the files using their own standard. You might want to adapt those to your standard. You should be able to automate using these approaches which I have shown earlier. Also, your friends might share the movies or songs with you in the form of DVDs, USB drives, etc. You might again want to reorganize those song files and movie files in your own way. Even in those scenarios, it will come handy. You might end up having so many images over a period of time. Again, there might be few patterns on which the images might have been copied over a period of time. If you can identify those patterns, you should be able to leverage the approaches which I have suggested earlier to organize your images as well. Like this, there will be n number of scenarios where you should be able to leverage these approaches to actually automate and take care of organizing at once. It will be less buggy, less error prone, and also standards will be enforced, and hence it will be easier for you to actually navigate through your file system and get these files faster based upon your usage requirement. As part of the sectional module, we are actually going through the details about managing files and folders in Linux. At this time, we are exploring a command called as the MV to move files and folders from one location to another location in Linux. Now, before actually getting into the demonstrations related to MV command to move folders from one location to another location, the folder which I will be using for the demonstrations, which is nothing but data, I would like to take the backup of it. One of the ways to take the backup is by using a command called as tar. Tar have wide variety of usages, but we'll be using it for taking the backup. I'll also try to cover tar in detail if it is required in subsequent sections or modules, but for now, from the perspective of taking the backup, we'll be exploring the tar command. I'll be covering the tar command in 2 to 3 lectures so that you are really comfortable with tar. When it comes to tar, if you would like to get the help on tar, you should be able to set tar --help. You should be able to see the help related to the tar. You can see that there are quite a few options with respect to tar. You can explore based on the requirements. From the perspective of the backup, we just have to explore some of the important options. They are nothing but C, V, F, X and Z. I will explain those in detail and then I will actually get into the demonstrations. You can see that there are quite a few options with respect to tar. You can glance through and see if you can understand some of these things after going through whatever I am going to cover. If at all it is required, you can use tar depending upon your requirements for other scenarios as well. For now, we'll be using tar for taking the backups. Also, when it comes to using tar to actually build the tarball, it not only takes the backup of files and folders, it will also take the backup of properties of the files and folders that are part of the folder using which we are trying to create the tarball in the process of taking the backup of that folder. For example, if we take the backup of data folder, data have several subfolders and files in it. It not only takes the backup of all those files and folders, it also takes the backup of properties related to the files and folders. The properties are nothing but these ones. The properties include the permissions, owner, group, and also the last updated timestamp of each and every file and folder that is part of the folder that is being backed up. We'll be demonstrating using data. In this case, all the files and folders within data folder will be backed up along with the properties of those files and folders. That being said, now let's explore some of the important control arguments that are associated with tar. They are nothing but C. C is primarily used to create the tarball. Along with C, we also use F. -cf is typically used to create the tarball. However, we might want to see the feedback while creating the tarball. For that purpose, we can use V. V stands for verbose. There are several commands where we would like to see the feedback. In all those scenarios, we can use V. Typically, V in those commands is nothing but verbose. So CVF is the combination which is used while creating the tarball while getting the feedback. If you want to untar and restore the files and folders the way they were earlier, then you have to use XVF. X for extract, V for verbose. F is also used while extracting the tarball to its original form. When we use -cvf, it will actually create uncompressed tarball. The size of the uncompressed tarball will be almost equivalent to the original size of the files and folders that are being tarred. If you want to compress and reduce the size of the tarball, you can use Z option. So if you say CZVF, typically the tarball will be created in compressed format. The compression algorithm that will be used is nothing but gzip. Now, if you want to uncompress and untar the compressed tarball, then you use the combination of XZVF. X for extract, Z for deal with compression, V for verbose, and we have to use F as well. So these are the important control arguments. We have covered 5 of them: C, V, F, X, and Z. Now, using these, let's see how to take the backup and also how to restore. I'll be covering those as part of the subsequent lectures in this sectional module. As part of this sectional module, we are going through the details about managing files and folders in Linux. At this time, we are exploring a command called as tar to take the backups. Keep in mind that tar can be used for other purposes also, but one of the common uses of tar command is primarily to take the backup and also to restore if at all we would like to restore. In this lecture, let's go through the details about how to use tar command to take the backup. We'll be taking the backup of data folder. All the files and folders that are part of data folder will be backed up in the form of tarball. The syntax will be like this: tar, then control arguments. In this case, to create the tarball, especially uncompressed tarball, we can use -cf. It will take care of creating the tarball for us. The first argument to tar command is nothing but the tarball name. In this case, I am naming it as data.tar because we are trying to take the backup of data folder. However, you can give any name you want. Even the extension is just informational. You don't need to specify the extension like this, but it is a better practice to actually specify the extension. For uncompressed tarballs, we use .tar as extension. Then we can actually specify the name of the folder for which we wanted to take the backup. Now I can hit enter. It will take a moment and it will take the backup of this folder called as data using this name. Let's wait until the backup is done. Then we'll actually take it further. Now the tar command is executed. If you observe, it took some time to actually create the tarball. The reason is the size of this data folder is a little bit bigger. Now let me say ls-ltr. You can see data.tar here. You can see the size of it. Now let's say ls, not ls, but du-sh data and also data.tar. You can see the size of tarball is same as the original folder. That being said, even though it took time, we don't know whether it is actually building the tarball or it is hung because there is no feedback. In case if you would like to get the feedback while creating the tarball or even while restoring the tarball to its original folder, we should be able to add V. It will actually provide the feedback. Now let me delete the tarball. Now the tarball is deleted. Now let me go back to the tar-cf command. Now let me add V. Now you can see that there is feedback while tarball is being created. Now the tarball is created. Now let me say ls-ltr. You can see that it is created successfully and we were able to see the feedback. The advantage of V is primarily to get the feedback while the tarball is being created. Now the tarball is created successfully. However, you might want to see what this tarball contains. If you use X, it will directly extract the tarball and restore the folder. Without extracting also, we should be able to review what this tarball contains. For that, we have to use control argument called as T. I haven't covered T earlier. You should be using T to actually list the contents of a tarball. Again, we typically use T and F to actually list the contents of the tarball. So in this case, I can say tar-tf. V doesn't make sense with respect to T, and hence you can skip V when you try to list the contents of the tarball using T. Now you have to specify the name of the tarball, and you can see the contents of this tarball. It haven't extracted the tarball yet. However, it is actually showing the contents of the tarball when we actually use T. Now, we have created uncompressed tarball, and we have already reviewed the size of data folder and also data.tar tarball. Both of them are same. Keep in mind that tarball is nothing but a file. It is backup of this folder. And that's why when we say ls-ltr, when it comes to data, it have D at the beginning. Whereas with respect to tarball, there is no D at the beginning because it is just a file. However, it is a special file which will have the backup of the original folder data. That being said, many times when we want to create tarball for the backup, we typically compress. Compression have several advantages. One of them is nothing but reduction in the size of the tarball. The way you can compress is like this. You can say tar, and then instead of CVF, you can say CZVF or CVZF. You can place these control arguments in any order. Then you can specify the tarball name. When it comes to compressed tarballs, we typically use this format, either tar.gz or tgz, just to convey the message saying that this is a compressed tarball. Then we should be able to specify the folder for which we are going to build the tarball. Now I can hit enter. You can see that it is taking a little bit more time to compress and create the tarball. We'll wait until it is executed, and then we'll review the size of the compressed tarball and also uncompressed tarball to see the difference. You can see that it is taking quite a lot of time when it comes to creating a compressed tarball because it has to compress the files that are there as part of the tarball while creating the tarball. Now let me say ls-ltr. You can see the size here. The tarball which is uncompressed is of size this much, whereas tarball which is compressed is of size this much. In this case, we haven't got a significant amount of reduction with respect to size of the compressed tarball. It is because most of the files in data folder are compressed already. Let me go up and let me show the bigger files. They are nothing but these ones. You can see they are already compressed. As they are already compressed, the savings with respect to size is not significant in this case. However, if all these files and folders are uncompressed, then the compressed tarball will be much less in size compared to uncompressed tarball. You can see all these big files are actually compressed already. So this is the command which is used to create the compressed tarball. To list the files in the compressed tarball, you just have to say -tzf. Now let me remove this folder name. We have to specify the tarball name like this only. Data.tgz is the name of the compressed tarball. Now we can remove V. With respect to listing, we just have to say tzf like this. Now you can see the list of files in the compressed tarball. As you have gone through the details about using tar command to take the backup of a given folder in the form of a tarball, now it is time for us to understand how to restore. The restoration can be in the same location in which we have taken the backup, or it can be in different location within the same server, or it can be in a different server altogether. In this case, I'll demonstrate the restoration process by copying these tar files to temp folder. Let's go to the details as part of the next lecture. As part of this extra module, we are going through the details related to managing files and folders in Linux. At this time, we are talking about tar command. One of the usage with respect to tar is nothing but to take the backup of files and folders along with the properties and also to restore. Already we have taken the backup of data folder. In this case, we have backed up twice. One as uncompressed tarball and the one as compressed tarball. This is the uncompressed tarball and this is the compressed tarball. At any point in time, if you'd like to list the contents of the tarballs, you should be able to use -t. If it is compressed, you should be able to say Z and then F, and then you should be able to pass the compressed tarball name. You can see the contents of the compressed tarball data.tgz. For uncompressed tarball, you just have to say tar-tf and then the tarball name. In this case, the uncompressed tarball name is nothing but data.tar. Now we should be able to say -tf to list the files and folders in uncompressed tarball. As we have understood how to take the backup and also how to list the contents of the tarballs, now it is time for us to explore how to restore. As I have mentioned earlier, we should be able to restore these files in this folder itself. This is the folder in which we have data folder, and also we have created tarballs in this folder itself. Or we should be able to move these files to a different location in this server, and we should be able to restore over there. We can also copy these to remote servers, and we should be able to restore even in the remote servers. For now, let's move these files to temp folder, and let's see how to restore these files as part of the temp folder. To move these to temp folder, we should be able to use mv command, which we have seen already. In this case, data.tar is nothing but a file which contain the contents of data folder. The contents are nothing but files and folders within data folder. As it is a file, we don't need to specify anything that is specific to a folder. We just have to say mv data.tar, which is nothing but the file name, and the target location, which is nothing but /tmp. Then if you run it, the data.tar will be moved to /tmp folder. Let's say ls-ltr/tmp. You can see data.tar over there. Let's also move data.tgz to /tmp. Now let's say ls-ltr/tmp. We should be able to see both the tarballs, the uncompressed tarball as well as the compressed tarball. Now let's go to the temp folder. Let's run ls-ltr. As of now, there is no data folder under /tmp. You can see here. However, we have already moved both the uncompressed tarball as well as compressed tarball to this location. Now let's see how to untar the uncompressed tarball. We just have to say tar, then -x for untar. We have seen C to create, T for list, X for extract, then V so that we can see the feedback. Then we have to use the F also. Then we have to specify the uncompressed tarball name, which is nothing but data.tar, and you should be able to hit enter. You can see that the files are being untarred, and you should be able to validate whether data folder is created or not by running ls-ltr. You can see the data folder here. If you look at the timestamp, even though it is just untarred in this location, it is saying April 18th 11:53, which is same as whatever we have in the home directory of dgadraju user, which is used to log in into the system at this time. Let me hit enter. You can see the data folder. You can see the permissions, owner, group, and also the timestamp. Both the data in temp folder, which is nothing but this one, and the data in home directory have same. You can also go through the files and folders within these data folders. You will see the permissions to be same. That being said, there is also a command called as diff, which can be leveraged to actually see the differences between not only files but also the folders. We'll cover those in a dedicated section. If you want, you can use diff and you should be able to compare everything related to these files and folders, which is there under data in temp and also the home directory of the user that is used to login. Now let me run ls-ltr once again. We have untarred the uncompressed tarball, and you can see the folder here. You can also say du-sh data to get the size of the folder. You can see that it is 631 MB. Now let's go to the details about untarring the compressed tarball. Let's remove the data folder which is already there. For that, I'm saying rm-rf. Now the data folder is deleted. Let me say ls-ltr. You can see there is no data folder here. If you want, you can leave the data folder as is, and you can try untarring the compressed tarball. You can see if there will be any deviation in the behavior. If there is any deviation in the behavior, you should be able to troubleshoot and understand what is going on internally. I will leave it as an exercise to you. That being said, now if I want to untar this compressed tarball, on top of -xvf, which we have seen earlier, we have to include z also. You can place z anywhere. Typically, I place z after c or x or even t. V for verbose, then f is required for almost all the tar commands. Now we should be able to say data.tgz. Now it will not only uncompress this compressed tarball, it will also untar, and it will take care of creating the folder data for us. Let's wait until it is completely executed. Once it is completely executed, we should be able to run ls-ltr, and we should be able to review that the folder is created as it was earlier under home directory of the user that is used to login. You can again say ls-ltr tilde. You can see the data folder here. The properties related to this data folder and the properties related to the data folder from this compressed tarball are same. You can also use du-s, then data, and you should be able to see the size of the data folder. It is close to 631 MB. You can also add h to make it human readable. Once again, I'm reiterating, if you are curious about if there is any corruption with respect to files and folders under data between the data in home directory and data in a temp, you should be able to leverage diff command. I'll demonstrate the details related to diff command in a dedicated section about it. That being said, we have seen how to use tar to not only create the tarballs, but also to list the contents of the tarballs and also to restore the tarball to its original format. Make sure you're comfortable with it. It comes quite handy when it comes to taking the backup of the files and folders in several scenarios. It can be your code when you try to deploy. It can be the data. It can be many other things. As part of this section or module, we are going through the details related to managing files and folders in Linux. At this time, we are actually talking about commands such as mv to move files and folders from one location to another location in a given server. Already we have seen quite a few details with respect to moving files. Now let's talk about moving folders. When it comes to moving folders, it is same as what we have seen with respect to files. It is not much different. However, when it comes to mv, we might end up using -f quite often to make sure the target locations are overwritten if the target location exists. Now let me actually say ls-ltr. You can see that there's a folder called as data. I'll be using this data folder. I'll be using this data folder to actually demonstrate details with respect to moving folders using mv command. Let me get into that folder. Now I'm in the data folder. Already I have taken the backup of data folder under /tmp. You can actually validate by saying ls-ltr then /tmp. You can see data folder here. And also you can see compressed tarball as well as uncompressed tarball. To avoid confusion, first let me remove this folder. If you don't have it already, you can ignore. In my case, I already have it and hence I'm actually removing the data folder under /tmp. Now I'll start with moving retail_db folder, which is there as part of data. You can see retail_db. Already there is a retail_db folder under /tmp. Let's see what happens when I use mv command. I'm using mv command. Then I'm actually saying retail_db, then /tmp. I would like to move using same name for the folder and hence I'm not specifying anything after /tmp. As /tmp is a valid directory, it will try to move retail_db to /tmp. Now when I try to run mv command, it is saying whether we would like to override or not. Let's see what happens. If I say yes, it is saying operation not permitted. It is because retail_db is not owned by D. Gadaraju user. As D. Gadaraju is a super user, we should be able to change the owner of retail_db folder by saying sudo chown, then D. Gadaraju : D. Gadaraju, then data, not data actually, it is temp retail_db. In this case, I would like to make sure the permissions are changed not only for retail_db but also all the files and folders in it recursively. For that, I should be able to use -R like this. It will recursively change the ownership of retail_db to D. Gadaraju. Now it is run. It is prompting for the password. Now it should be successful. Let's say ls-ltr /tmp. You can see that the owner for retail_db is changed to D. Gadaraju. As we have used -R, it will recursively change the owner for each and every file and folder under retail_db. Let's review what we have under retail_db folder by saying ls-ltr /tmp /retail_db. You can see that there are 6 folders. Now let's review the retail_db under data folder in home directory. I'm already in data folder in home directory and hence I should be able to use relative path like this. Now you can see even this one have same files and folders. Now let me say mv retail_db /tmp. Already /tmp have retail_db folder. Let's see what happens. You can see the error message here. It is saying cannot move retail_db from the current folder to /tmp /retail_db because the directory is not empty. If directory is not empty, it is inevitable for us to use -f so that it can be moved. Now I should be able to say mv -f retail_db then /tmp. It will take care of moving the retail_db. Now before running this, let's remove the retail_db folder under /tmp. I should be able to say rm-rf/tmp/retail_db. Now let me hit enter. You can see the folder is deleted. Now let me try this command once again. Let's see what happens. Okay, when the target folder doesn't exist, it did not say directory not empty. It have just moved retail_db to that location without any issues. You can validate by saying ls-ltr/tmp/retaildb. You can see all the files and folders. So if the target folder exists, then it will complain like this. Now let me do one more thing. We also have retail_db_json. You can see here. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm actually creating an empty folder under /tmp by name retail_db_json. Now there's an empty folder called as retail_db_json under /tmp. Now let's say mv retail_db_json, then /tmp. We are trying to move to the existing folder, but this time it is empty. Earlier /tmp/retail_db was not empty and it have failed. Now let's see what happens. Now as retail_db_json under tmp is empty, the files seems to be copied successfully. We can validate by saying ls-ltr/tmp/retail_db_json. You can see all the folders and files. You can also compare with the files that are there under retail_db_json in the data folder. As the folder is already moved, we are not able to review, which means everything is successfully copied. So keep in mind that you have to experiment to actually interpret these messages. It is saying directory not empty. We are not sure whether this directory not empty is related to the source folder or destination folder, because it is not specifying the actual folder name while complaining directory not empty. Now by experimenting, we figured it out that it is actually complaining about the target directory. If target directory is empty, the move command will work without any issue, but if it is not empty, then it might not work. That being said, now let me say ls-ltr. Let's create a scenario where the target folder into which we are trying to move already have some files in it, but not exactly the same way as the source, and see what happens. So in this case, I'm actually saying mkdir/tmp/cards. I'll be using a cards folder under data to experiment this. Now if I look at cards folder, you see there are 4 files. I'll be copying only one file to that location. So let me say cp cards deck of cards. The location into which I would like to copy is nothing but /tmp/cards. Now let me hit enter. Now the file is copied. You can validate by saying ls-ltr/tmp/cards. Now let's say mv, then cards, then /tmp, then it will fail saying directory not empty. Now let's use mv-f, then say cards, then /tmp, and let's see what happens. Even with -f, it is saying directory not empty. So you will not be able to move into the directory which is not empty. One of the ways to make sure the files and folders under cards are actually moved to /tmp/cards is by taking care using some automation. So we should be able to say ls-1, then cards. It will actually list the files and folders in that location. Then we should be able to say pipe, then awk, then -F. So in this case, we don't need to use -F. We can ignore. We can just say print mv, then whatever we have as part of the cards, which is nothing but cards /. So I have to say cards /, then $1, which is nothing but the individual file name. Then the target location. The target location is nothing but /tmp/cards. First let's print and then we'll take it further. Now you can see the mv commands here. As the mv commands are generated as per the expectations, now we should be able to pipe to bash and hit enter. Now all the folders and files under cards are actually moved into the target location, which is nothing but /tmp/cards. We should be able to validate by saying ls-ltr/tmp/cards. So all the files under home directory data cards are actually moved to /tmp/cards. Now it is time for us to validate whether we have anything under cards folder. You can see there are no files and folders, and hence we should be able to clean up the cards folder like this. This is how you should be able to explore the commands and make sure you come up with solutions based upon your requirements working around the limitations posed by those commands. You need to make sure not only to understand how to use those commands, but also how to build solutions around those commands depending upon the requirements. That being said, as we have understood all the details with respect to CP as well as MV, now it is time for us to go through the details about RM command. RM is typically used to clean up files and folders. We have been using it quite often. Now we'll actually understand what RM is all about from the perspective of cleaning up or deleting the files and folders in Linux. As part of this sectional module, we are going to the details about managing files and folders in Linux. In that process, we have explored commands such as cp, mv. Cp is primarily used to copy files from one location to another location in Linux file system, while mv is used to move files from one location to another location. In this lecture, let's go to the details about rm command. Rm is used to remove or delete files or folders from Linux file system. Let's start with the usage of rm command. For that, we should be able to use rm-help. It will give us the details about the rm command. We should be able to look at the details by scrolling up here. Some of the important control arguments that can be used with rm command are nothing but -f or -force, -r or -R or --recursive. These are the two most important control arguments which we typically use with rm command. On top of these things, we also use -i. It is primarily to avoid accidental deletes of the files. It is also very important control argument. I will also cover few details with respect to that. Also, sometimes we might have to delete empty directories. We should be able to use -d or -dir to remove empty directories. We also have alias or alternate command for rm-d to remove empty directories. It is nothing but rmdir. That being said, let me first run some command called as which and see what output we'll get. So in this case, I'm saying which rm. You can see that it is pointing to user bin rm. In most of the Linux-based systems, when it comes to rm command, they might define an alias by saying rm-i. If they say rm-i, whenever you try to delete any file, it will prompt you to confirm whether you would like to delete it or not. We'll see an example very soon. In this case, it is not pointing to alias of rm-i. It is a direct rm command only under user bin, which means the files will be deleted automatically when we run the command without prompting. That being said, as we understood the usage of rm command, let's perform a few tasks so that we really understand how to use rm effectively while deleting the files or folders. First, we'll start with files, then we'll actually get into the folders. In that process, we'll explore all the important control arguments as well. As part of the sectional module, we are going to the details about managing files and folders in Linux. In the previous lecture, we got an overview of rm command to remove files from Linux file system. In this lecture, let's understand how to use rm command to remove the files. Now, I'm in the data folder. Let me say ls-ltr so that we see what we have under this location. There is one file readme.md and then there are these folders. To perform the tasks I am performing, make sure you have these folders and files in your data folder. If not, you can restore from your tarball or you can also clone from the Git repository. That being said, now let's start with removing the file readme.md. You can see readme.md in data folder and we are in the data folder at this time. Now I should be able to say rm readme.md. You can see that the file is deleted without any issues. Sometimes you might try to delete the file accidentally. To avoid, we would like to get prompts whenever we try to delete the files. For that purpose, we can use -i. It will make sure it will prompt you to confirm whether you would like to really delete the file or not. Now let me actually go to nysc_all. This is the folder. Now let me say ls-ltr. This have two folders, nysc_stocks and nysc_data. Let's try deleting these folders directly. In this case, I am just saying rm. I am not adding any additional arguments before passing the folder name. When I say arguments, I am talking about control arguments such as -r, -i, etc. I am not going to pass any control arguments. Let me try to pass the folder name as argument directly. Let's say nysc_data. That is the folder which I would like to delete. Now you see, it is complaining saying nysc_data is a directory. We'll see how to remove directories or delete directories as part of the next lecture. Now let's get into this directory called as nysc_data. Now let me say ls-ltr. You can see there are quite a few files in this. There are almost 20 files. Let me actually confirm. I can actually say ls-l star.gz, then wc-l to get the number of files in this location. We have 21 files. Now let's say we'd like to delete this file nyc_1997.txt.gz, but we would like to get the prompt so that the files are not deleted accidentally. For that we can say rm-i, then paste the name of the file. I haven't copied. Now I'm copying. Now it is copied. Now let me paste. Now let me hit enter. You see, it is prompting saying you are trying to delete a regular file with name. Do you really want to delete or not? If you say yes, it will delete. Otherwise it will not. Now let's try deleting another file. In this case, it is 1998.txt.gz, again using -i option. Now let's say n or no. You see, it will not be deleted. Let me say ls-ltr. You can see the file still exists. Except y or yes, if you type anything, it will not be deleted. Let's try once again and let's hit enter directly. Now let's say ls-ltr. You see, the file still exists. So only when you say y or yes, it will be deleted. Earlier we have seen with yes. Now let's say y. Now let's say ls-ltr. You can see the file is deleted. Only when it is y or yes, the file will be deleted. For all others, it will be ignored. It will not throw any error when you type anything other than y or yes or n or no. Only when we type y or yes like this, the file will be deleted. Otherwise, it will not be deleted. It's not only about n or no, any other character or any other word, it will not be deleted. That being said, let's go to the details about how to make sure we get the behavior of rm-i by creating a alias by name rm for this command. I'll cover those details as part of the next lecture. That being said, if -i is not used to delete the file, we can just say rm and we should be able to pass the file name. The files will be deleted for us. Let's go to the details about how to use alias to define alias for this command, so that in systems like production, we typically get prompts whenever we try to delete the files. Also, sometimes we would like to overcome that. I will also demonstrate how to overcome that after creating alias for this command by name rm. All those details will be covered as part of the next lecture. As part of this section module, we are going through the details related to managing files and folders in Linux. At this time, we are actually talking about rm command. Already we have seen how to use rm command to remove the files. However, when we try to use rm in production, we would like to avoid accidental deletes. Whenever we use rm, we would like to get the behavior of rm-i, where we get a prompt like this to confirm whether we would like to delete the file or not. For that purpose, we should be able to create alias for this by saying rm. Let's go to the details about how to create alias by name rm for this command. For that, let's say alias and then --help so that we understand the usage of alias command. It is pretty straightforward. You just have to give command like this, alias, then a name, in this case rm, equal to value, which is nothing but rm-i. As there is a space in between, we have to make sure rm-i is passed using single quotes. Let's go to the details so that you understand what I'm talking about here. So the way you can use alias is like this. Alias rm equal to, then single quotes or even double quotes, rm-i. Then run it, the alias will be created. You can confirm by saying alias rm. You can see the details here. Now let's say ls-ltr to list the files and folders in this location. We have only files in this location. Now let's try to delete this file. I have copied this file. I have copied this file name. Now let's say rm. I am not using -i. Now let me paste it. Hit enter. You see, it is prompting even though I haven't specified -i. So using alias like this, we should be able to get the behavior of rm-i even for rm command. Now we should be able to say y or yes to actually delete the file. Now we can say ls-l. We should be able to see the output here. There is no file by name nyc_1999.txt.gz because it is deleted. This is how you should be able to leverage alias to actually redefine the meaning of the original commands. It is widely used especially to control the behavior of rm command in non-development servers. We typically create alias for rm-i as rm so that whenever someone tries to use rm command, the files are not deleted directly. Now, as alias is created, let's say we would like to delete all the files at once. For that, we should be able to say rm, then nyc_, then let's say 200, then *.txt.gz. Following this pattern, we have these many files starting from 2000 to 2009. So these are the files which we are trying to delete at once. Because rm is actually rm-i due to the alias. It will prompt for each and every file. You can see here. First, it is prompting for nyc_2000.txt.gz. You can say yrn. Now it is asking for 2001, so and so forth. So in this case, it will prompt you 10 times, which is a overkill. Especially sometimes we would like to delete hundreds of files at once. And if alias is defined for rm-i as rm, for each and every file, it will actually prompt like this. To avoid that, you can use -f or -force. So you can say rm-f. First, let me actually run ls-l to confirm the files 2001 and 2002 are deleted. You can see that those two files are deleted. Now, instead of saying rm-nyc_200 star.gz, let me say rm-f, then nyc_200 star.txt.gz. Now hit enter. All the files are gone. The -f will actually force delete all the files matching the pattern. Now we should be able to say ls-l. You can see all the files which follow this pattern are deleted. This is how you should be able to use -f in terms of avoiding the prompts, even if alias is defined for rm-i as rm. It is very, very important for you to keep this in mind. Also, if I exit from this session, now I have exited from this session. Now I'm actually getting into this session again. Now, if I look at alias for rm, you can see that there is no alias for rm. That being said, the alias is gone as we have logged out of that session where alias is defined and we logged into a new session. To make sure these aliases persist across the sessions of a given user, the user's profile should be updated. Now I am in the home directory. Now let me say ls-al so that we can see hidden files also. There are quite a few hidden files. Let me actually go up here. You can see there are quite a few hidden files. All the hidden files starts with .dot. The important hidden files which controls the behavior of user sessions are nothing but .bashrc and .bash_profile or .profile. I will actually cover the details about profiles at a later point in time. For now, I'll be updating .bashrc with the alias and we will see the behavior persisting across the sessions. Let me open the .bashrc file. If you are not comfortable with VA editor, make sure not to use it at this time. Don't worry too much updating this .bashrc. I'll be covering details about the profiles at a later point in time. Until that point, don't touch anything in .bashrc or any other hidden files such as .bashrc, which controls the behavior of your environment. That being said, now I can actually go to the end of the file. Let me create a new line. Now let me say alias rm equal to rm-i. I have to have a space between rm and -i. Now let me close this session. Still it will not work. If I say alias rm, it will complain saying rm not found. But if I exit, then if I get into the session once again, then if I say alias rm, now you can see that the alias is visible. This is how you should be able to use files such as .bashrc or .bash_profile to persist the behavior of certain commands such as rm across the sessions of a given user. Now, if I try to use rm on any file, it will prompt by default. Let me actually get into the data nysc, then nysc_all folder. There is no nysc_all. Let me say cd data nysc_data. It's nysc_all here, then nysc_data. This is the right path. Now let me say ls-l. We have these files. Now let's say rm. I'm not specifying -i. Now let me copy, then paste. You can see that it is prompting because of the alias that is defined as part of the bashrc. I haven't defined alias in this session because it is defined as part of the bashrc. All the sessions will automatically inherit that. Now I can say n to not to delete. To forcefully delete, we can actually say rm-f, and even though rm is pointing to rm-i, the file will be deleted without any issue. First, let me clean this up. Then let me say ls-l. Now let me say rm-f. The file still exists. You can see here. Now let me hit enter. Now let me say ls-l. Now the file is gone. This is how you should be able to use alias to control the behavior of rm command to interactively delete the files. However, you should be able to use -f to force delete in case you are using rm command as part of the scripts. Many times when we use rm command as part of the scripts, we don't want to get the prompts. Finally, you need to make sure the aliases are defined as part of profile files such as bash rc so that the behavior is persisting across the sessions of a given user. I hope you are comfortable with this. Make sure you understand all these nuances so that you work effectively as part of the Linux environment. As part of this sectional module, we are going through the details about managing files and folders in Linux. At this time, we are actually talking about rm command. Already we have seen how to use rm command to delete files. Now let's go through the details about using rm command to delete folders or directories. Already we have specified alias for rm-i as rm. We'll continue using the same while exploring rm command to delete folders or directories. I'm in nysc_data folder. You can see the fully qualified path of this folder here. Now let me first delete all the files in this folder. If I do not use -f, it will prompt for each and every file, and hence I'm actually saying rm-f. In this case, I would like to delete all the files, and hence let me say star. Hit enter. Now all the files are deleted. Now I should be able to delete the empty folder by using rmdir, then specifying the empty folder name. You can see that the folder is deleted without any issues. Let me create empty folder once again. We can use mkdir command to actually create an empty folder. Now let's say rm then -d nysc_data. As rm is pointing to rm-i, it is prompting whether we would like to delete the directory or not. We can say y or yes, and the directory will be deleted. You can also create the folder once again. If you would like to force delete empty folder, you can actually say rm-df. It will take care of deleting the empty folder for you. Now let me say ls-l. There's only one folder which is nothing but nysc_stocks. Now let me say rm-df, then nysc_stocks. Hit enter. It is complaining saying directory not empty. As the directory is not empty, we will not be able to use either rm-d or rmdir command to delete that folder. You can see that it is complaining saying directory not empty. Even rmdir cannot be used to delete the folders or directories when it have files. Now let's look at the usage of rmdir command. You can see the options that are available on top of rmdir command to confirm if it can be used to delete non-empty folders. You can see that there are no such control arguments, which means we will not be able to use rmdir to delete non-empty folders. First, we have to delete all the files in that folder, and then we should be able to use rmdir to delete the empty folder. However, we should be able to use rm command to actually even delete the non-empty folders recursively. That's where -r option comes into picture, or -r control argument comes into picture. Now let me say ls-l. You can see there is this folder called nysc_stocks. Now let me say ls-l nysc_stocks. You can see that there is only one file. Now I should be able to say rm-r, then nysc_stocks. It will try to delete all the files recursively. Then it will try to delete nysc_stocks folder. However, as we have defined alias by name rm for rm-i, it will actually prompt like this. Now you have to say y, then only the files will start getting deleted from the directory. Now you can see that it is asking to remove regular file. We would like to say yes. Now the file is deleted. Now it have deleted the directory. Now you can say ls-l. You can see that nysc_stocks is gone. Now let's go one level up. Now let me say rm-f. In this case df nysc_all. Even this folder will be deleted. Because it's a empty folder, it is deleted without any issues. When I say rm-df, we can also use rmdir. Now let's say ls-l. Let's pick lca. You can say ls-l lca. You can see that lca folder have 4 files. Now we should be able to say rm-r. Again, if you do not specify f, it will prompt for each and every file recursively to delete. To make sure the files are deleted without prompting, you have to use rm-rf lca. Now the entire folder along with the files will be deleted without prompting. You can see it is deleted. Now let me actually say alias rm equal to, I'm not actually touching the bash rc file, I'm actually overwriting the behavior of rm command using alias in this session. You can actually say alias rm equal to the original path of rm. For that, we should be able to say which rm. You can see that it is nothing but user bin rm. Now let me copy this. Now let me say alias rm equal to, as there is no space in between, we don't need to use single quotes. We can directly paste user bin rm. Now you can say alias rm. It is pointing to user bin rm. We have got the original behavior of the rm command. Now let's say ls-l here. We have nysc folder. Let's see what we have in nysc folder. Then we'll take it further. It have two files in it. Now let me say rm-r, which will try to delete the files recursively, and we do not have f in it. And let's see the default behavior without I or f by just using rm-r. In this case, nysc, hit enter. You see the files and folders are deleted. In some operating systems, it might not delete when we just use rm-r without prompting, even if you don't use -i. But in Ubuntu 20.4, by default, it will try to delete all the files forcefully if you say rm itself. In this case, nysc folder is deleted forcefully by going through it recursively. But -r is mandatory whenever we try to delete a folder, especially if it is not empty. Now let me say ls-l, nysc is gone. Once again, I am actually demonstrating by saying rm-hr. hr is also folder. It has several files. You see it is complaining by saying it is a directory. You can validate what hr have by saying ls-l hr. You can see there is one file. Now to delete it, we can just say rm-r hr. Let's see what happens if we use rm-f. I'm not using -r, but -f. You see it is complaining it is a directory, which means to delete a folder recursively, if it have files or folders in it, we have to use -r for sure. -r is most important when it comes to deleting non-empty folders or directories. Now I can actually say rm-rf hr. Even without f, it should work. You can see that hr folder is also gone. This is how you should be able to use rm command to clean up folders with -r. -r is primarily used to recursively delete all the files and folders in a given folder when we try to delete that folder. That being said, make sure you are comfortable with rm command with options such as -r, -f, -i, etc. You have to use these things quite often. As part of this section module, we are going through the details about managing files and folders in Linux. At this time, we are talking about rm command. Before getting into the details about automations around rm command, let's go to the details about restoring this data folder. Already, I have deleted quite a few stuff in the data folder. I would like to restore it so that I can actually use it again to explore rm command in the perspective of automation. First, let me clean up this folder. For that, I should be able to say rm-rf data. It will take care of deleting the folder for us. Now we have the backup under /tmp. You can see there are two tarballs. One is uncompressed tarball with tar extension, and the one is compressed tarball with tgz extension. We should be able to copy one of these backups into the home folder where we would like to restore our data folder. I can actually say cp/tmp/data.tar. I'll be using uncompressed tarball. Now let me say dot so that it is copied to the home directory, as I'm in the home directory at this time. Now data.tar is being copied. You see it took some time to actually copy the data.tar from temp directory to this directory. It is actually still running. Let's wait until it is completely run. Then we'll take it further. Now it is done. Let me say ls-ltr. You can see data.tar here. Now we can use tar-tvf to list the contents of this tarball. You can see all the files and folders which we have deleted are part of this backup. Now we should be able to say tar-xvf. X is primarily to extract from the tarball and restore. Now we should be able to say data.tar, hit enter. Now it is being restored. Let's wait until it restores. Now we can actually say ls-ltr. You can see the data folder here. Now we can get into this data folder. Then run ls-ltr. You can see all the folders and files which were deleted earlier are restored. As the data folder is restored, now it's time for us to explore how to automate using find and rm command to delete the files based upon certain patterns. Let's go to those details as part of the next lecture. As part of this sectional module, we are going to the details about managing files and folders in Linux. So far, we have seen quite a few examples related to cp command, mv command, and now we are in the process of understanding rm command. Already, we have seen basic examples using rm, both to delete files as well as folders. Now, let's get into the details about coming up with simple one-liners to actually manage files by removing the files that are not required. First, we'll be trying to delete the files based upon the name. Then we'll also look at the details about how to remove the files based upon the timestamp based on which the files are modified. That being said, now I'm in the data folder. It is already restored from the backed up tarball after playing with it. Now the data folder have all the files and folders that are supposed to be there. You can see here. Now using find command, we should be able to get all the files based upon certain pattern or even based on a certain modified time. In this case, let's see what all files we have with gz extension. I'm actually using the present working directory as the starting point, and hence I have specified dot here after find. That is the path which I am going through recursively to get all the files which ends with gz or which have gz extension. Now I am trying to find the files based on name, and hence I can say hyphen name. Then I can actually say star.gz to get all those files with gz extension. We can see list of files here. Now let's say I would like to delete all these files. I just have to say something like this. On top of this command which we have used to get all those files with gz extension, we can actually say hyphen exec, then rm, then curly braces, then plus. Make sure there is a space between curly braces and plus, then semicolon. As rm is alias for rm hyphen I, it might prompt us to confirm whether we would like to delete the file or not. Let's see what happens by running this. Actually, it didn't. Let's see alias rm output. Actually, I have replaced the alias with this. That's why it have cleaned up everything without prompting us. Now, if I run find dot hyphen name with dot gz extension, you can see that there are no files because all the files are deleted. Now, let me go back to this parent folder of data, and let's see whether we have the tarball. We can see there is a tarball already. Now, let's say tar xvf hyphen xvf, then data.tar. It will actually update our data folder with appropriate files. Now the data is being refreshed. Now let's go to the data folder. Now let's run find command once again without exec. We can see all the files and folders coming back. So this is the command which we have used to delete all the files with gz extension. Now if I want to delete only those files with csv.gz extension, I just have to improvise on top of this. I can say csv.gz. Let me also add dot before csv. This will make sure only those files with .csv.gz extension are removed. First, let me remove this hyphen exec rm. Let's validate. You can see only 4 files being written here. Now we should be able to say hyphen exec rm, then curly braces, then space, then plus, then semicolon. So all these file names are passed to rm command as input. That's how the rm command is being executed on all these 4 files. Now all the 4 files should be gone. We should be able to validate by running this. You can see that those 4 files are missing. Now let's run this command once again without .csv but only .gz. You can see that these are the files we have. Now there are quite a few files with a certain pattern after nysc underscore. You can see here. Let me actually sort this output by filtering for nysc star.gz. Now you see the files are here. To make sure the file pattern, let me also sort these files. I'm actually saying sort. Now you can see the names of the files. You can see that it starts with nysc underscore 1997 and ends with nysc underscore 2017. Using this approach, if we try to just pass nysc, all the files with nysc will be gone. But I would like to only delete files up to 2000 or up to 2005 or up to 2010, whatever is the value that is being passed. Up to that point, I would like to delete the files. Remaining, I would like to leave. That's where we need to improvise further. I will demonstrate those details as part of the next lecture. So far, we have seen how to delete the files based upon basic patterns. Now we are actually getting into a bit advanced stuff. For that, we'll be using find command in conjunction with awk, and then we'll actually take care of deleting these files based upon certain conditions. So we'll be improving our awk abilities also. As part of the sectional module, we are going through the details about managing files and folders in Linux. At this time, we are talking about automation around rm command delete files based upon certain patterns. In the previous lecture, we have gone through the details about deleting the files using find based upon basic patterns. Now, we would like to improve on top of it. If you look at the output of this command, where we are actually finding all the files with nysc as prefix and gz as extension, you see there are these many files, and if you see, these files have year in it. So this file is related to 1997 year, this file is related to 1998 year, this file is related to 1999 year, so on and so forth. Now let's say based upon certain pattern, I would like to delete all the files before that name. For example, if I say nysc_2010.txt.gz, all the files before that file along with that file should be deleted. Let's see how we can achieve that. For that, we can actually remove sort from here, then say awk. Then we should be able to use / as the delimiter. Either you can pass the delimiter using a double quote or single quote, it doesn't matter. I am passing using a double quote. Now first let's print the first element after delimiting by /. In this case, the first element is nothing but dot. So if I say print $1, then curly brace, then single quote, hit enter, you can see that it have printed dots from each and every element that is returned by this command. Now to get the names, we have to use $4 because second one will be nysc_all, third one will be nysc_data, fourth one will be the actual file name. So I can actually say $4 here. Now we should be able to see the file names. We got all the files here. However, we are interested only the files up to 2010. We would like to delete all those files, and hence we wanted to see the output only up to that point. Now we should be able to use if condition. Here all we need to do is if. Then the condition can be specified as part of the circular brackets. In the circular brackets, we have to say $4, which is nothing but the file names, then less than or equal to the pattern. In this case, I am using double quotes because the main awk argument is passed in single quotes. If you use single quotes, it will not work. You have to use double quotes. If you use single quotes, then this will be considered as argument, not this entire thing. To make sure the entire thing is considered as argument, and also to ensure the string is passed in quotes, we have to use double quotes internally. Now we can actually say nysc_2010.txt.gz. Now let's hit enter. You can see all the files. You can also sort to make sure we get only the files up to 2010. However, we only got the actual file names. We haven't got the complete path. Without complete path, we will not be able to manage these files. If you look at data folder, there are no files with these names. These files are actually coming from one of the folders or one or more of these folders. The path can be anything within these folders. To confirm the path of each and every file that is displayed here, you just have to improvise this by saying $0. Now you are actually getting fully qualified paths of all those files which match the criteria. You can see here, you can also use sort to make sure that the names are sorted. Just to confirm that we got only those files which we are interested in. Now we would like to delete these files. For that, we need to make sure rm command is printed here. We can actually say print, then in double quotes, rm-f, then space, then $0. Now we should be able to print the output. Let me use sort for now. You can see rm-f command for each and every file. To delete all these files, we just have to say bash. Now you should be able to delete all the files. Now you can actually say find.name nysc*.gz, hit enter. You got only those files which are greater than nysc_2010.txt.gz. You can also sort and confirm. This is how you should be able to delete certain files based upon a pattern using conditions as part of simple awk scripts. I hope you are comfortable with this. Even if you have outdated images with some naming convention which can be filtered out easily, you should be able to use this approach and you should be able to delete those images easily. At times when it comes to the production systems, we might end up having too many log files with a certain pattern like this. You should be able to use this approach and you should be able to delete all those files easily using the combination of find, awk and also the bash. That being said, make sure you are really comfortable with it and make sure you improvise your ability to manage the files within your file system, whether it is production systems or even your personal computers. You should be able to leverage these and you should be able to manage the files a lot more effectively. That being said, as we have seen how to delete the files based upon the patterns on names, now let's go to the details about how to delete the files based upon the modified timestamp. As part of the sectional module, we are going through the details about managing files and folders in Linux. As of now, we are in the process of understanding how to delete the files based upon certain patterns. Already we have gone through the details based on name. Now we wanted to delete the files based upon modified timestamp. But before actually getting into the details, we need to make sure we have the files with different modified timestamps. This approach is typically used to manage log files in servers. It can be production servers, it can be dev servers, it can be UAT servers. On most of the servers, we typically use this approach of managing the old files using find. Sometimes we would like to delete the files. In that process, we will be using find along with rm to delete the files based upon certain modified time. First, let's go to the details about creating the files. We'll also go to the details about updating the timestamps as part of the next lecture. Then we'll actually go to the details about using rm along with find as well as awk to delete the files based upon the modified timestamp. That being said, let me create a folder by name logs, just to make sure you understand that this approach is primarily used on top of log files. Now let me get into the logs folder. Let me say ls-ltr. As of now, there are no files. I would like to create files at least for 2 years, starting from 2020 till 2021. For each and every day, I would like to create one log file. Let me use this format to name the log files. It is nothing but server underscore, then 4-digit year, then month, then day. So this file is related to 2021 January 1st. For 2021 January 31st, the file name will be like this. For 2021 December 1st, the file name will be like this, 12 and then 01. This is the convention using which I would like to create the files starting from 2020 January 1st till 2021 December 31st. We should be able to generate all these files with 3-4 touch commands. Let me start with the first touch command. I'm saying touch server underscore, then in curly braces, I would like to generate files from 2020 till 2021. So it will generate all the files with this convention between 2020 then 2021. After that, I would like to generate files from January till December only for those months which have 31 days. For that, I can actually say 01, 03, 05, 07. So January, March, May, July, then August, then October, then December. For these months, the range should be 01 till 31. And then the extension has to be .log, and hence let me say .log. Now let me say ls-ltr. You can see all the files are generated. Let me say ls-l rather than ltr so that we see the names in ascending order by name. You can also use ls-l, then pipe to wc-l. You should be able to see number of files that are created. Let me also filter for .log extension. I should be able to say .log like this. We can see that there are 434 files for the months of January, March, May, July, August, October and December for the years of 2020 and 2021. Now let's go ahead and create the files for rest of the months where we have 30 days. In this case, we have to consider April, June, September and November. So here we have to change the range to 1 to 30. Then we have to remove these months. These are not the months which we are interested in. We cannot add February for 30 days and hence 2 is not option. But April, June, September, which is nothing but 09, and then November, which is nothing but 11. Now let's hit enter. Now the file should be created. Let's see the count. Now we can see that there are 674 files. Now we have to add for the month of February. Let me actually say 01 to 28. Then here we have to say 02. We should not be having curly braces like this. If you do not specify the range or comma separated values, it will just use curly brace in the file name as well. For that reason, I have removed curly braces around 02. Now files related to February for years 2020 and 2021 up to 28 are generated. However, 2020 is leap year and hence we have to hardcode and create one file by saying server underscore 2020 02 29 because leap year contain 29 days in February. Let me say log and hit enter. Now let me say ls-l. We can see all the files. We can also say ls-l wc-l. However, in this case, we have to filter for log files, and hence let me say star.log here, hit enter. You can see 731 files. So for year 2020, we have 366 files. For year 2021, we have 365, and hence total it is 731. So all the files related to year 2020 and 21 are simulated. You can actually see the output here. Now it is time for us to update the timestamps also. For all these files, the timestamp is more or less same. However, to explore how to delete certain files based upon modified time, we need to make sure even the timestamp is updated. For that, we can actually extract the date part from the files, and we should be able to use touch with -t to update the timestamp of these files. Let's go to those details as part of the next lecture. Then we'll actually talk about how to delete files using find and awk in conjunction with rm based upon modified timestamp. As part of the section related to managing files and folders in Linux, at this time we are going through the details about generating the files so that we can explore rm command along with other commands to delete them based upon modified timestamp. Already we have created 731 files for the year 2020 and 2021. However, the timestamp for these files is more or less May 1st around 5:38, 5:39 time frame. Now I would like to update the timestamp of these files based upon the date that is there in these files. So using this information, I would like to update the timestamp. For that, we should be able to leverage touch command. Let's review the uses of the touch and see how we can achieve it. So if you look at the touch -- help output, there is an option called as -t. You should be able to pass the timestamp in this approach to update the timestamp of a file. For example, in this case, let's say touch xyz. Now the file is created. You can see the timestamp for this file. It is nothing but May 1st, 5:49 a.m. However, I would like to change it to January 1st, 2021. For that, I can actually say touch -t. First, let's look at the timestamp pattern which is supposed to be used. The pattern is nothing but year, which is optional, then month, then 2-digit date, then 2-digit hour, 2-digit minute. So we have to pass year, month, date, hour and minute. Month, date, hour and minute are mandatory. This is how I should be able to pass the information. I can say touch -t. Before running touch command, let's review the output of xyz file. As of now, the timestamp is nothing but May 1st, 5:49. Now I would like to change it to 2021 January 1st midnight. For that, I can actually say touch -t 2021 0101, which is nothing but January 1st, then 0000, which is nothing but midnight. Now let's say xyz. Now let's say ls-ltr xyz. You can see the timestamp being updated with January 1st, 2021. Now let me delete this file. Using this approach, we should be able to update the timestamp for all these files. Already the file names have the date. You can see here. Using this date, we should be able to extract and update the timestamp using touch -t. Now let's say ls-1. It will print all the file names in ascending order by name in one column. You can see here. Then we should be able to use awk. First, let's see how we can extract only this information. For this, I can use either underscore or dot as delimiter. If you use either of them as delimiter, this one will be the first string after splitting using the delimiters underscore or dot. Then this will be the second string. Then this will be the third string. The way you can actually consider multiple characters as delimiters is like this. You can say awk -F, then square brackets. In this case, underscore and a dot. We are considering these two as the delimiters. Now we can actually say print $1. It will print server. You can see it have printed server. If you say 3, it will print log. If you say 2, it will actually print the date part of our files. You can see the date part of our files. Now I would like to generate touch -t command with this date and timestamp. Then I would like to apply that on top of the actual files itself. For that purpose, I have to say touch -t space. Then if I hit enter, you can see it have got the date. However, I would like to get the timestamp part also. The way I can get the timestamp part is like this. I can say touch $2, then 0000. This is for hours and minutes. Then space, hit enter. Now you see you got the required format as part of touch-t. Now these touch-t commands should have the file name as the argument. The way we can actually get the file name as argument is by saying $0. You can see file names are arguments for these touch commands. Now we have printed the touch commands here. To update all these files with corresponding timestamps like this, we just have to pass this to bash. Let me say bash. Now all the files are updated. Now let me say ls-l, hit enter. You can see the timestamp being updated for each and every file. So we are able to simulate as if the log files are generated over a period of 2 years. Now we have 2 years worth of log files. We can play with these files to understand how to use the combination of find, awk, and rm to delete the files which we are not interested in. Let's go to those details as part of the next lecture. But before getting into the next lecture, let's make sure we have files related to the current year as well. Starting from 2022-01-01, I would like to create end of the current year. As of now, I'm in year 2022. I'll be creating files related to 2022 starting from 2022-01-01, which is the next file to this. Also, we need to update the timestamp based on the date associated with each of these files. Let's take it as an exercise, create all the files, then go to the next lecture. As part of this sectional module, we are going through the details about managing files and folders in Linux. At this time, we are talking about rm command to delete files and folders in Linux. Already we have gone through the details about basic usage of rm command, and also we have seen some level of automation around rm command by name. Now let's go to the details about deleting the files based on timestamp. Already we have created quite a lot of files with .log extension to make sure we have enough files with appropriate timestamp. Now we should be able to find the files based on timestamp, and then we should be able to pass the output to rm command to remove those files. It is a very common use case which the administrators use very often who manages the Linux-based servers. Now you can see that there are files until the end of the current year, which is nothing but 2022-12/31. As of now, the date is only May 2nd. Let me say date. We can see the date here. It is still May 1st on the server. It's May 1st, 11:45 p.m. Now we should be able to use find command to get the files that are modified in the last 10 days or beyond 10 days or even in future. We should be able to get in all possible ways. Typically we'll be interested only in the past, not in the future. The future files should not be touched. First, let's explore how to find files based upon certain criteria. Let's start with the files that are modified before 10 days. For that, we should be able to use find command like this, find.mtime and then +10. It will actually display all the files that are modified before 10 days. As of now, the date is May 1st. It could be around April 20th or 21st. Now, let me sort the output so that we can interpret in right manner. We should be able to see up to what point the files are retrieved. You can see that it is retrieved till 2022-0420.log. So it is able to find all the files that are modified before 10 days. Now we are not sure whether we'll be getting up to 2022-0420.log or not. Sometimes we might want to hardcode. If you want to hardcode and if you want to get files up to a particular point or beyond a particular point, then we can use a control argument called as newer. Using newer, you should be able to get the files up to a particular point or beyond particular point. Let's look at the usage of find command by saying find --help. Let's hit enter. As part of the tests, we should be able to see the newer. You can see there is newer. There is no older, there is only newer. But using newer, we should be able to get the older files also. Newer typically gets us the files modified after a given file timestamp. However, you can also go into the past by using a negate operation. I will also demonstrate how to use negate operation and get the files based upon hard-coded value. Now, let's review the timestamp of 2022-0430.log. Here we have to say server_2022-0430.log. Hit enter. You can see that the timestamp is April 30th 00:00. Now I would like to get the files beyond this timestamp. For that, I should be able to say find name, not name actually, newer, then server_2022-0430.log. Let me copy this, then paste, hit enter. You see, you got all the files that are modified after that date. Let's sort the output. You can see the files up to 2022-1231.log. Let's reverse it. To see the earliest file here, you can see the earliest file to be 2022-0501. All the files beyond 2022-0430 are retrieved. Now, if you want to get beyond 20, you can actually say 20.log here. Now, if you want to go older files than this file, then the logic should be like this. So, whatever you are passing here, it should be negated. The negation can happen like this. Now, we should be able to pipe, then say sort and hit enter. Now you see it got the files up to 2022 April 20th. All the files that are modified before the timestamp that is there as part of this file, all those are displayed here. If you want to delete all the files based upon a certain date which is hard-coded, you can use this approach. Otherwise, you can use this approach. This approach will give you all the files that are modified before 10 days. You can see the output here. Let's try to delete all the files that are modified before 90 days. For that, we should be able to say plus 90, then hyphen exec, then rm, then curly braces, plus semicolon, hit enter. Now the file should be deleted. You can actually say ls-ltr. You can actually say wc-l to get the count. Now we have only 336 files. We should have more than 1000 files because I have generated files for 3 years. You can also run this command and then see the output. You can actually reverse it by saying -r. You can see the oldest file that survived here. It is nothing but the file with 2022 January 31st. All the files that are older than this file are deleted. Now, if you would like to delete the older files before 60 days, you should be able to use this approach. In this case, you just have to say plus 60. It will take care of deleting all the files before 60 days. Now you should be able to list the files that are available here. You can see that we have files only newer than 2022 March 1st, or we have files starting from 2022 March 2nd. All the older files before this file are deleted. This is how you should be able to automate the process of deleting the files beyond a certain date. It is very common when it comes to managing the log files on Linux-based servers. Most of the applications will actually generate the files like this, and many times the files will be deleted, but some of the applications might not delete. In those scenarios, the administrators will take care of managing the log files like this. Even as developers, sometimes we might have to consider using this approach to delete all the old files in our development servers. Administrators might give complete control on the dev servers to dev leads or even developers. Developers might have control and they might be able to manage the log files the way I have demonstrated here. Make sure you are comfortable with these things so that you can actually streamline the process of supporting the applications on Linux-based servers. So far, we have gone through the details about CP to copy, MV to move, RM to remove files and folders. Now let's go to the details about how to rename the files as part of managing files and folders in Linux. Also, before going further to actually see how to rename the files, let me remove this logs folder. For that, I'm actually going to the parent folder of logs. It is currently under data folder. I'm actually saying rm-rf, then logs. It will take care of deleting the logs folder for us. As logs folder is cleaned up, now it is time for us to go to the details about renaming the files in Linux. As part of this sectional module, we are going to the details related to managing files and folders in Linux. So far, we have gone to the details about how to copy files and folders in Linux using cp command, how to move files and folders in Linux using mv command. Also, we have seen how to delete or remove files and folders in Linux using rm command. Now it is time for us to explore how to rename files and folders in Linux. Keep in mind that there are no special commands to rename the files and folders in Linux. Either we have to use mv command or cp plus rm commands. Let's go to the details so that you understand what I'm talking about here. Let's say ls-ltr. I'm currently in data folder. You can see that there are quite a few folders and a file in this location. Let's say I would like to rename retail_db folder to retail_db_csv because that folder contains subfolders which contain CSV files. For that, either we can say mv, then -f. It is optional to specify -f in Ubuntu 20.04. In some cases, you might have to. Let's try without -f to see if it works. If it doesn't work, then we'll use -f. In this case, we can say retail_db, then retail_db_csv. Now hit enter. you can see that the folder is renamed. Now there is no retail underscore db, there is only retail underscore db underscore csv. Let's assume even NYSE have CSV files and we would like to rename NYSE to NYSE underscore CSV. We can also use cp plus rm. For that, first we have to use cp to copy NYSE folder to whatever folder we want to copy, in this case NYSE underscore CSV. Then we have to use rm on top of NYSE to remove NYSE folder. So let me say cp, then NYSE, then NYSE underscore CSV. Most likely it might fail. You can see that it is saying omitting directory and NYSE because we have to use -r to recursively copy this folder to this folder. I have already ran the command. You can see here it was successful, and also you can see the output of ls-l. You can see both NYSE as well as NYSE underscore CSV. When it comes to the timestamp, the timestamp is latest timestamp with respect to NYSE underscore CSV. If you don't want to change the timestamp, you can use -p as well. It will take care of preserving the timestamp along with the permissions as well as ownership. Let me say rm-r, then NYSE underscore CSV. Now the folder is deleted. However, it is prompting for each and every file because I have actually configured the rm command in such a way that it uses rm-i whenever I try to run rm command using alias. That's why it is actually prompting for each and every file. Let me say Ctrl+C. Now I came out of it. Now I can say rm-rf NYSE underscore CSV. Now NYSE underscore CSV is deleted. We can validate by saying ls-l. There is no NYSE underscore CSV. Now I can say cp-rp, then NYSE, then NYSE underscore CSV. This time it will actually preserve the properties of the files and folders that are copied to NYSE underscore CSV. You can validate by saying ls-l. When it comes to the timestamp and other details, the details are same as what we have seen with respect to NYSE here. So in the process of rename, if you wanted to use cp to actually create new folder or file like this, and then if you want to delete the original one, then make sure you use p as well to preserve the properties of the files and folders. Now we should be able to say rm-rf, then NYSE. It will take care of deleting the NYSE folder. Now we have only one folder, NYSE underscore CSV, which is nothing but copy of NYSE, which means NYSE is now renamed as NYSE underscore CSV. So we can use either mv command or cp plus rm commands to actually take care of renaming the files and folders. However, mv is more effective because it will be faster to use mv command. It will not copy the contents of the files when we use mv in the process of rename. It will just change the high level name of the folder or file that is being renamed. When it comes to cp, it has to create a new copy of existing all files and folders, and hence it will take a little bit more time. On top of it, you also need to use rm command to remove the original file or folder, and hence it will be a little bit slower. So even though we can use either mv or cp plus rm commands to actually rename, mv is highly recommended. Let's see the details about the performance, then we'll wrap it up. In this case, we have a bigger folder NYSE underscore all. You can see here. Let's check the size of NYSE underscore all. Let me say du-sh NYSE underscore all. You can see that it is 58 MB. Let me see if there is a larger folder than that. I think LCA is a larger folder. Let me say du-sh LCA. Even this one is not very big because the files are already moved from this location. Let me do this. Let me remove this folder altogether. So data is already removed. Now let's see if I have tar file. There is tar file. So I should be able to restore data from this. Now I can say tar xvf data.tar. Let me use -xvf data.tar. It will take care of restoring the data folder for us. Now it is restored. Let me get into the data folder. Now let me say du-sh star. You can see sizes of all the files and folders in this location. The largest one is nothing but NYSE underscore all. You can actually say du-s star, then pipe sort-n, hit enter. NYSE underscore all is the largest one. It is of size 134 MB. Now let's say cp-rf NYSE underscore all, NYSE underscore all .csv. It will take few seconds. I will not be using .csv, I will be using underscore csv. If you observe, it will take few seconds. I am counting the seconds Actually, it is a little bit faster. It just took 1 second to copy. Let me actually copy the entire data folder rather than just playing with nyc_all. Now let me actually remove nyc_all_csv. Now the nyc_all_csv is removed. Now let me go to the one level up. Now it have the data folder. Let's say du-sh data. You can see that it is of size 631 MB. Now let me say cp-rf data_orig. So this is the name which I want to use to copy to. Now hit enter. It took almost 4 seconds to actually create a copy of data folder as data_orig, and then we have to remove the data folder. Removing the data folder might not take too much of time, but copying will take time. And also it will not copy the properties directly, it will use the latest timestamp. So cp is expensive operation. Now let me delete data_orig. Now let me say ls-l. Now there is only data folder, there is no data_orig folder. Let's try to rename using mv command. For that I just have to say mv data_orig, hit enter. You see it is instantaneous because it need not copy the contents from one location to another location in the hard drive where these files will be persisted. It will just update the name of the main folder data to data_orig. So renaming using mv is a lot more effective compared to renaming using cp+rm commands. In the process of renaming the files, especially in the same location, always prefer to use mv over a combination of cp and rm commands. mv is a lot more better in performance compared to cp+rm. That being said, before wrapping this lecture up, let's make sure we rename data_orig to data using mv command. You can see that it is renamed. Now let's say ls-l, we have the data folder only. This is how you should be able to take care of renaming the files and folders either by using mv or cp+rm commands. However, mv is recommended.